emails.
What do you mean? You get emails because you're on the internet.
Oof. I didn't sign up to get fucking emails from this thing.
Okay.
I lied. I'm in the wrong email.
Okay. Welcome to the show, everybody. Purvis doesn't know how to read emails.
Whoops. Didn't know we were live. Fuck it, we're doing it live.
Doing it live.
Gentlemen.
Welcome to the show, everybody. And welcome to another week of the Unpaid Nobody's podcast. Gentlemen,
we're back again. We've been busy.
Dude, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I woke up this morning. I could not move.
I went to work today, which was a terrible decision.
Yeah, bad idea. I did not. I went to work. I just didn't. I worked from home like most people do.
Let's be honest. Working from home, does it really count?
Dude, I was actually hella busy today. So, yeah.
That's pretty boomer of you, Purvis. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. And also, shut up. Let me have my work naps.
Revolution now.
Revolution
Lunch
now.
means nap when I work from home.
Sometimes when I used to drive to work, sometimes there too. I would sleep in my car sometimes.
I was going to say, you're not driving and sleeping. That's
no, absolutely not. But like when I was working like overnights and shit, and it like first started hitting me, like sometimes I'll be like, I had an hour break. I'd be like, I'm gonna go take a 20-minute nap in my car.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah,
I would do the same.
All right, Purvis. We got a lot to talk about this week. We're doing two reviews.
Two very different reviews.
Two very different reviews. We got a lot.
I don't know what to expect. But for those who do not know, we went to the Drake show. We went to the opening night of the Drake show.
Yeah, the first night of the Drake It's All a Blur tour. We're also going to be reviewing the newest Lil Uzi Vert. That's how I say it in the traditional French.
You're not French, nor do you speak French. It's just unacceptable.
Lil Uzi Vert.
Okay.
We'll be reviewing.
You're going to be shunned from your Italian family.
Okay.
Okay. But yes, the pink tape, it was something.
Yeah,
there's a lot to take in.
It's an album. What is it? Anyway, Purvis, do you want to run through what's coming out this week? It's kind of a thin week.
Yes.
Yeah, not a whole lot coming out, but definitely some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, some of the albums that are coming out, we have Conway the Machine and Drumwork coming out with Drumwork the album. We do love Griselda, so we're here for it.
Yeah.
We have Lucky coming out with Sex, Money, Drugs, because if his music wasn't straightforward enough, he's letting you know now.
Yeah, there's zero room for misinterpretation there. All right.
I mean, let's be honest. That's what rap is. Sex, money, and drugs, right?
I mean, not always. I mean, a certain type of rap is, but...
Right.
You know.
But then we have our singles and videos coming out. We have Flo Milli coming out with Blow the Whistle Remix. This is a partnership with Google Pixel. This is huge for her.
Yeah, I mean, like, she's blowing up, but, like, she's been blowing up for a while.
This is true.
Yeah.
But, like, she's been getting a lot of partnerships. They had some 7-Eleven deal about a week or so ago. So, super dope for her.
Yeah.
We have the return of Party Next Door, a lead-up single to Party Next Door 4, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's coming out with Resentment. Super excited for that because actually, I don't know if you picked up on it, but during the concert, the DJ warm-up set played a lot of Party Next Door.
Yeah, no, he definitely did.
So super excited about that. We have Mick Jenkins featuring Jid, my boy, coming out with Smoke Break.
This is hype. This is hype. This is a 100% of everything. I mean, besides maybe the next one. Like, this is going to be a very, very fun song. I'm so excited.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This is going to be very hype. I think this is his first. Is this the first thing we got from Jid from since his album? I don't know if he's been on anything else that I can recall.
Did Talk About Me come out before or after the album? Because he's kind of
before or after what?
The Forever Story.
The Forever Story.
I think it was before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was before.
No, that makes sense.
So
that was my introduction to Jid.
No.
What an introduction.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, that's weird. That actually, because that's Denzel, Jid, and Kid Cudi. It's like literally our trio.
Yep.
I did not notice that
He
before.
has
Okay.
he has an absolute banger verse. I have it memorized.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Song needs more recognition.
But yeah, no, this is absolutely a song I'm very excited to listen to.
Oh yeah. And then did you know about this with Injury Reserve?
This is
was
new.
a surprise to me.
So what I did know about is the passing of Grogs.
Mhm.
So Injury Reserve, 3-piece rap group from Arizona. In 2020, one of the members, Grogs, passed away. They had a finished album with the three of them called the one that has knees on it. Like We'll Talk When I Get to Phoenix or something like that. Let me look it up. I gotta give them the respect they deserve.
By the time
I get to Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had By the Time I Get to Phoenix finished, which is widely considered to be like their magnum opus as Injury Reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Which was actually an album I bounced off of, but I think we're probably going to revisit it tonight now that we're talking about it.
Oh yeah.
And then like obviously the future of the band was like very up in the air about whether or not like they were going to move forward. And basically what happened is they are releasing one final Injury Reserve song as By Storm, BYE Storm. And then Richie and the producer, whose name escapes me.
Oh, I had the names pulled up earlier.
Yeah,
I'm actually gonna pull it up because I want to.
Yeah, pull it up. But Richie with a T, who is low-key like one of my favorite rappers working today. Like he is so fucking good. They're gonna be forming a new group. We're still working together. The name By Storm. So BY Storm. Releasing their first song, Double Trio.
Yeah, this is super dope.
It's a super dope thing. It obviously seems like they were very serious about what direction to go in. Obviously, as bittersweet as it is, I'm happy Richie and did you get the guy's name? Was it Parker?
Yes, it's Nathaniel and Parker.
Yeah. So I'm happy Richie and Parker are still going to be working together. Purvis knows I love Injury Reserve. It was like one of the first things we ever talked about. It was like I recommended him Drive It Like It's Stolen.
It's so good.
Such a good EP. And I'm in the camp of I love their self-titled album. I think it's, obviously I think by the time I get to Phoenix, from what my impression of it was a lot more true to like their artistic vision. So like I get why people prefer that, but I am a big fan of the self-titled too. So
yeah, they have a really nice discography. And going back to it was refreshing. It's a different type of music to listen to, and it's very high quality.
They're also from an area of the country that does not get a lot of representation in hip hop, Arizona. No. So it's like
I don't know if I can name one person from Arizona, if I'm being honest.
So but it makes sense that their stuff is kind of like a mix of like Texas and Cali, know. So
it does make sense.
Not to mention
also
to say, very experimental.
Oh yeah, it just fits for them. And I did the recommended song last week, so it happened again. We brought up someone on the podcast, and they're here the next week. So
but I'm excited for this. So I can't wait. This is the thing I'm probably most excited about this week, is checking out these two things.
You know what I'm most excited about?
What? Yeah, I know. Say it.
Literally within seconds of getting the text, I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, Chance the Rapper has released another snippet. I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but there is a number that you can text to receive updates that he sends out to his fans all the time.
I unsubscribed after I got tickets to As the Rap. I'm like, I'm not sticking on this. Like,
fair enough.
I love you, Chance, but I do not like my phone number being used.
You know what I don't love?
That is completely fair.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's not used often. Even if you do follow it.
Yeah, it's not like daily.
I think I've gotten a text like once a month.
It's not like you get like, here's a daily Chance the Rapper fact. Did you know he loves his wife? Like
breaking news.
Chance saw a rabbit today. Like,
I would love to get that news. No.
Purvis is
But yeah,
just like,
it's a new
album
snippet.
coming. Like, he's just pointing.
I'm ready. Bam, 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 bam. I'm posting it everywhere.
Dude.
But no, super excited about that.
Yeah, no,
I'm just
honestly,
hoping that it leads up to a like true real album.
yeah.
Because every snippet that he's dropped, it sounds like older Chance, which is
Yeah.
the thing that we want.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all the news.
All right.
It's a shorter week, but we have a lot to cover. So
Yeah, we do have a lot to
it makes
cover.
sense.
But yeah.
Should we start off with
Let's start.
the album of the year?
Yeah, let's start with the painful one. And then we'll get
I
on.
mean, okay, I just want to start up the conversation, and I'm not gonna lie, I got through it once. It was a little
got
bit
through it
difficult for
twice.
me because it is an hour and a half, and like I just get lost in time.
Yeah.
Off of one listen, it's a lot of different things to kind of touch on.
It's very
but, like,
chaotic.
what are your thoughts on this before I kind of jump into it?
Me?
What was your initial thoughts? Like actually pressing play, you're sitting down, because I didn't listen to it right away.
Yeah, so I listened to it I think the next day after it dropped. And like I had to get through it my first time in like chunks. And
Okay.
honestly, the first chunk I was like, this is fine. Like I didn't think it was bad. Like I was like, I listened up until let me
Let's pull it up.
yeah, I listened up until I Gotta. And like, look, I like the first 3 songs. Like, I was like, yeah, like this seems like, to me, I'm gonna keep it real. Like, my chief criticism of this album, it is far too long. And whenever I see 27 tracks on anything, I'm like, what's going on here? So I was kind of
Yeah.
like tiptoeing through the album, but I liked it more or less. And from there, things kind of got a lot rockier and rockier as the album went on. I would say at the end of it, like, look, there's probably 7 songs on here that I genuinely really like and I think are really good.
Okay.
And I will see myself going back to and listening for through the end of the year, right? And this is far from the worst album I've ever heard. But it's
I wouldn't even put it that low. Yeah.
yeah, no,
But
it's far from the worst album I've ever heard. You know, I don't think it's horrendously bad. I don't think this destroys Uzi's career. But I got to say, this is maybe the most disappointing album I've heard in like 5 years.
Okay.
In a very
Well,
long time.
And that's off of, you said 2 listens, right?
Yeah, I got through it twice.
Okay. So Jasper, I think I was talking to you earlier. You said 3 times?
I've gotten through
Okay.
it 3 times. Yeah.
No.
Okay. So what's your perspective then? Because you've heard it the most.
Every time I listen to it, it grows on me. To be
Yeah.
honest, because I keep finding new things, new little musical hooks or references or something. So it keeps me coming back because I feel like I'm always discovering something new. And it's like that with like intricate film for me too. I love being able to like re-explore something and see if I can find something different. And there's a lot to it, and it is kind of overwhelming, but hot take, I think that the changes in genre that occur on certain tracks actually do a good job of keeping it fresh and making it feel like it's moving and you're not just drowning in beats.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't have I have nice things to say about the genre switch ups, but I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think like they create more problems than they solve. Because
I think some of them do. So,
I think,
some do,
yeah.
some don't.
Yeah. Well, because I think Uzi gets lost in them. Like I think
A little
like,
bit. Yeah, you have to pick him out of it.
And the other thing is that like, I don't know, man. To me, it was just like, it was so hyper repetitive. And like, I can understand like when you have this kind of high energy music, it's a lot packed into a little. So I think there's this phenomenon of like false intricacy where like, you know, you think like there's all these layers to it, but it's really just quite chaotic. And like, once again, I don't think this is like awful by any stretch, but like, it seems like it's very long in the tooth. And also I do think some of the excursions on this are just bad. Like track 17 is like especially painful for me.
That's the cover one, right?
Yeah, that's the cover.
Okay, so what is it covering, Brandon?
It's CS. It's a cover of Chop Suey, which is System of a Down, probably my favorite band of all time. I routinely wear their hoodie on this show. Like Toxicity is in my top 5 all-time favorite albums. I think that song might be a little overrated, but it's still a song that is like I hold near and dear to my heart. And this is just like a abysmal cover of it, right? I think it's shy of going straight up into like kind of being disrespectful. It's not G-Eazy covering Black Star, but it might be the worst cover I've ever heard that doesn't cross that line. You know what I mean? I really don't think he adds anything to the song. I think it's a very unwise song choice for anyone to cover, just because like that song really relies on the extended range of Serj Tankian's voice, which not a lot of singers have. And yeah, like I just thought like a black mark on that is like just not something that I don't think any album could have recovered from, even though like one of my favorite songs is the second to last one of like the standard tracks. Like when I got to that one, I was kind of like, dude, like what's going on here?
You talking about Rehab?
Rehab I really liked. I thought Rehab was like one of the songs on here that actually had substance, actually had like some depth to it. You know, that's a, you know, something we'll circle back to is I think like there's a very big fumbling of a theme here. But I think Rehab does a really good job of like really capturing an experience, and like it's about being in rehab and it's like, you know, I think this is kind of the direction I kind of would want Lil Uzi Vert to go in. But like that's one song among 27.
Yeah, I mean, well, 26. But I regardless, one off does not matter.
Oh yeah,
I understand the point.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much what I was on as well, because going into this album, like I said, I've listened to it once because like I wanted to push through it, and like actually because I understood it was going to take a very long time, you know, and a commitment. Regardless, even if I liked the album, even if it was a phenomenal album,
Yeah,
an hour and a half is a lot to get through.
Yeah,
just in general. So I got all the way up to Mama, I'm Sorry, and I'm not gonna lie, I was satisfied, if that makes sense. Because I think the beginning half of the album is more focused on an older style of Lil Uzi that's more focused on rap in general.
Yeah.
He does have some influences that play into it that sound just like a whole lot of Red, like copy paste. Which kind of I actually did not like, if I'm being honest.
Hot take here, like, look, I know that my knowledge of that subgenre is cursory, but like I have heard like a little bit of everyone. Yeah. And like I kind of liked Uzi's take more than most, to be honest.
I mean,
so like
fair.
I
He's
did,
smoother.
Yeah, I did not. That subgenre is not for me, but I did not hate that excursion on that album. I'll probably never go back to those songs, but no, I did not hate that part of it. I'm gonna keep it real. I thought he was like one of the better ones in that style. So,
which is okay, and that's the thing. Like the first half, I got through it, and I was satisfied.
Yeah,
like there was a couple lines that I picked up, but I also like I saw the missing gaps within what I was looking for. Because I understand there's just certain artists I would love a concept album from Lil Uzi, but I almost would go as far as to say it would be unrealistic for me to ask for a concept album.
I don't see that, and like this is gonna be like my big spiel. Like I don't think that's the case. I think this this album sets up a concept that it just like I think is very. We talked about this yesterday. I'll bring it up now. I think there's a concept that like this points its nose at that I think is like very rich, and I think like Lil Uzi Vert is like very specifically capable of handling that, and like. And I'm very disappointed that like it points its nose at it, but it doesn't really explore that at all. And that is like sexuality and gender, right? Okay. It starts with Suicide Doors, like the opening sample of that guy talking about Lil Uzi being a sissy and everything. And he has a
It feels
few
like
bars
freestyle.
about it, right?
Mm.
But he doesn't really approach that with any substance. And I think it's hard to say that that's even a thing that comes up more than once or twice on the album going forward, right?
Mm.
And like, look, not every single song has to be about that, but like that's a theme, and like
You can tap into that.
I
You
think
can
you could
explore
tap
it and
into
you
that.
can expand it.
And the other thing is that like, look, like Little Uzi is a non-binary individual. Their experiences, I'm bad, are gonna be unique, and like he's prime. He's the only non-binary big hip hop person we have, right? He is like primed to like speak on this subject. And the other thing, I also think this is a subject, unlike mental health and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, I think that's a subject that can be explored in songs that are fun. Like,
Yeah.
so I think he's
It's a
primed. I
friendlier,
think he's
lighter turn.
absolutely able to do that. I think it's in his wheelhouse. I think he has that capability of an artist. So him just like setting that up and like not doing anything with it like makes this like the biggest disappointment like in a very long time for me.
Okay.
You
Because
know,
you
and
think he could actually touch into that and play with
I
it.
definitely do. Like I think, and I brought this up. I don't know how familiar you are with this group, Jasper, but like I think like Brockhampton Saturation 2, there's like Johnny and a few other verses where like Kevin Abstract really goes into his sexuality and like he gets really raw and real.
I'm about to
But
say,
those songs
he
still
some crazy stuff, yeah.
so much so that like he had to change the lyrics. Like
Right.
and like but those songs still bang. Saturation 2 is a banger, right? I totally think Uzi could do that on a level Brockhampton could only dream of because Uzi's way bigger than Brockhampton ever was, right? So that's like, not only is this song like album like long in the tooth and like repetitive, I also think like it has like its eye on the ball and it just drops it.
In terms of that topic, that I'm genuinely curious, and this is all opinionated. I'm not leaning either way.
Yeah.
Do you think the community would accept him the same way?
Well,
If he was to speak on that community and be the front runner, do you
the thing
think
is
they'll be
that like
satisfied with him
I
being
think
the
people,
image?
I think the people who would reject him would reject him based off the little bit he already put in it.
Okay.
That's my main thing, right? And I also think like that might be an an unforeseen benefit of Uzi having like a very diverse fan base, right? Like Uzi definitely has fans like in the hip hop world, but like he also has like a huge like normie like fandom. And like I think that insulates him from that a little bit.
Okay.
You know? So basically not any more than he's already gonna get.
That's fair.
Yeah. But like, look, there are songs I liked. I really liked Suicide Doors. I really liked I liked Spin Again. I liked
So
Nakumara. I liked Just
that's
Wanna
what I was
Rock.
gonna
Yeah.
say, because I feel like obviously what he does so well, he potentially could make a concept album and he can
Yeah.
explore different topics.
Yeah.
But he's known to make bangers, and
Yeah.
he successfully has done that for almost a decade now, maybe.
Yeah.
Almost.
2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there. So like when there's songs that bang on this, there actually are a lot of really good songs.
Yeah.
And I feel like, and I might be reaching, but I said this like the first second I listened to this. I feel like the pink tape was originally teased a long time ago. Like we've been anticipating the pink tape for 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
And
Two,
I
2
feel
years, I
like,
think.
yeah. And I feel like his vision changed throughout the process of making the album, which is normal. That's natural. Artists go through
Yeah.
different things. There's so many projects. There's so many great projects that are scrapped that we just never get.
Yeah.
And I understand that's a process of making music.
Yeah.
Frank
Any
Ocean had a
creative
whole
process.
album we didn't get. There's a whole Yeezus album we didn't get. Oh, not Yeezus, but Yandi album we didn't get. There's Kendrick albums that are
The
like
Childish
known that we
Chance
didn't get.
tape.
There's so much stuff that like we just have never get. And I feel like Uzi just said, I don't care. I'm putting everything into one tape.
Yeah.
And that's why I was saying at the beginning, personally, this feels more like a mixtape than an album because I feel like he just took
does.
all of his ideas. This could be 2 albums.
I also do like I'm like really wondering, not in like a qualitative way, not like in this makes it bad, this makes it good, but just like in a genuine like understanding of like delivery and like artist intention. Like, is this an album? Like, if I wouldn't even call it a mixtape, I'd call it a playlist. Right? Like, it doesn't feel like it's meant to be like a curated, guided, like listening experience, right?
Yeah.
And look, even having that aspect to it doesn't necessarily necessitate that an album is going to be good, right? And it doesn't have to be a concept album. Like most albums that have like a theme that go through it and like general consistency, right? Like they have something that holds it all together. And like I just think like this just sprawls too much, and it just feels like, hey, here's 20, like it's like the buffet options, right? Like here's what you want, save what you want, you know.
Yeah,
and it's just true. Like that
you can easily cut it down.
Yeah, but it's like I don't go to buffets because all the food sucks, right? Like you know, and it's like that approach does not lead to like really strong artistic expression, in my opinion, right? And like, look, I even think we're being very generous and not even bringing up the cynical like take on this, which is just like he's juicing streaming, which like any other artist releases 26 songs on a single project. We talk about
the most. Who else are we talking about on this episode?
Yeah, Drake. We've accused Drake of this. Chris Brown. Like, whenever someone releases this many songs at once,
you gotta think.
You have to think, like, you know, is there a purely economic motive beyond like releasing this many stuff? And like, look, I don't know. You know, I don't think any of these songs are particularly like half-assed except lyrically.
So that was actually going to be my next question. Because it is 26 songs, do you feel like, obviously you're getting through an hour and a half, so there's going to be low periods. For me, there were low periods where like I just stopped listening. And that's not even like because it was bad music. It's just because it was a long album. Do you feel like there are periods or pockets within the album that are significantly lacking in terms of like actually structural quality?
I mean, I definitely think that there are songs that are, but I don't know if it's like entire segments of the album.
And structural is a weird choice of words. Structurally, I think the whole thing is actually really strong because, like I said, musically, I think it for me it stayed dynamic enough where you have repetitive lyrics, but you have really interesting beats on this project. I think you've got a lot of
dope stuff earlier.
Yeah, but
that you shared to me earlier.
But like, I think we would be remiss though we didn't bring up that like the beats are the chief thing that Lil Uzi Vert doesn't do. Like,
no, I'm not just saying. I'm not saying just the beats, but the way that everything does tie together, even if lyrically it's not the most interesting. His voice serves as an instrument too, and I think it serves its purpose pretty well. We see a lot of lower registered Lil Uzi on this, which we don't see on other albums as much. And I think that's like an interesting kind of change of pace for him lyrically.
Yeah, but here's my thing, right? And this is just like my experience. Like I can acknowledge that he is definitely making those creative choices. But like I don't think they're particularly successful. Like they just weren't. To me, they were more annoying than anything else. Like a lot of like his, like the more sing-songy, screamy kind of parts of it. It's like, I don't know.
Sure, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like Flooded the Face being the opening track and how he's using his like very low register for that. Whereas like most of his openers are just his general like lead songs. He tends to be a lot more dynamic in terms of his the way he delivers his lines. And then this is just like it feels different.
I get it, but like different in the context of like Lil Uzi Vert album openers.
Not just openers, but in terms of like the songs that he puts forward as like leading in some way, whether it's a lead single, whether it's a lead opener track, whether it's even like just a hit in the middle of his album.
Yeah.
And you look at the plays across it, and obviously Just Wanna Rock is like walks away with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
But Flooded the Face is pretty much next up as the next kind of like favorite. So I mean, but I don't know. I think it's.
but the gap between those two is massive.
Oh, for sure. I
Yeah,
mean,
the
well,
gap is like
yeah.
I think Just Wanna Rock is just adding all the
I think it
previous
took the
stuff.
original numbers and just like
It
Yeah.
takes
because
the
the
thing
same
oh
song.
yeah, definitely, like 100%. But like, if the difference was 100,000 streams or 100 million streams, it'd be like, oh okay. But like, it's like 4.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm curious then because I was taking a look. I was doing research on the album as well, even though I only listened to it once. So I don't know if you guys know the page Hip Hop by the Numbers. I love that page on Twitter. It broke down, or it does a whole bunch of stuff about hip hop in general in terms of like statistics. And so breaking down the actual album, his singing takes up 54.9% of the album, and rapping only takes about 45.1. So like in terms of pointing out his voice, that actually is a good point. Like he does do more singing literally than rapping in a what's supposed to be a rap out. He plays in the I would say hip hop rap genre. So it is interesting to I'm curious what his goal is. What do you guys think the goal actually was? Because I brought this up as well. What I find extremely disrespectful is when an artist releases something right after an album. This man has gone as far as to straight up be like, if this goes number one, I'm releasing Love is Rage 3. I personally hate that. So,
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'm just
I
curious,
definitely.
what was the goal
So
in
I'm
releasing the Pink Tape?
when you are you saying like, was the goal in releasing the pink tape, or was the goal in like those creative choices he made where he's singing? Because as
Right.
far as like the
Just,
creative choices go, I'm fine with it. Right?
mhm,
Like, I totally think like that's a direction Little Uzi Vert like wants to go in. Like, he's had success in that. He sings on XO Tour Life, right?
hmm
yeah,
Like I'm okay with
great
it.
song.
I think
But like, I also didn't like it. Like, and that's
Mhm.
just what it is. Like, I can be okay with someone experimenting and it just not being successful for me.
I think this album is kind of the definition of the artist makes what they want to make project, where he really just like wanted to make these songs and did it for him. And
Yep.
he says it repeatedly where he's like, I don't care what you all think, yada yada yada. And he's kind of said that before, but it feels like he's leaning more into his influences in some pretty significant ways, especially when it comes to, the kind of like alternative and emo rock scene. And with that, I think, there's going to be growing pains, but I also kind of like how this leans a little bit into what I was saying when we talked about the fact that we haven't had a hip hop number one album this year, where we're seeing hip hop as a whole, or maybe not even as a whole, but certain lead figures in hip hop start to commingle genres in a way that is making it so that hip hop is no longer necessarily the standout pop culture sound. And I think that Uzi's someone who's done it. Drake did it. We were talking about it when we talked about the show earlier. Purvis with honestly, never mind, as mixed as the reviews were, but the context of which you told me about for yesterday, which we'll talk about. Yeah, and it's just one of those things where I feel like a lot of artists who have been in the hip hop lane have then ventured into other genres with either great success or lesser success. But either way, they're kind of commingling these sounds and making it so that hip hop becomes more of a fluid genre. The barriers between hip hop and other genres seem to break down more every day. And I think it goes back as far as like, I mean, early Kanye you could argue that kind of falls into that category with certain stylistic and creative choices he made. But then you see like Gambino completely veer off of rap with Awaken My Love and things like that. So I think it's shows the genres evolving slowly and surely. And this is like maybe not the best critically the best example of that, but I think it is an example of that.
I totally
Honestly,
agree with that. I
yeah,
totally
I
agree with that.
love that.
Yeah, no, I
Because
totally agree.
even at the concert, because I did bring it up to you earlier when we were at work, I turned to Brandon and we were talking about Bad Bunny.
Hmm.
Right? The DJ set started playing a Bad Bunny song, and it's just the DJ set, and everyone's like dancing, partying, playing
Crazy.
to it,
Yeah.
and it's just like obviously they're both on tier one in terms of like popularity, streaming, and yada yada yada. But like, it has a different impact when like Bad Bunny is like Drake is international, but like Bad Bunny's like international, like
Yeah.
all
Global
over the world.
international. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And so, like, that has such a large impact on music. And you're right. I feel like the direction at where music is going right now, regardless if it has to do with the influences coming into it, the artist's decision, whatever it might be. It is taking a turn where it's honestly going away from quote unquote traditional hip hop and it's mixing in other genres. So I think that's an excellent point.
Yeah,
It's just a matter of if he delivers.
yeah, it definitely matters if he delivers. One thing though I do want to bring up though is that like this kind of mixing of genres has been happening for as long as hip hop has existed,
Sure.
right? Like you had
Yeah, no,
Public
definitely.
Enemy and Anthrax making music together in the late 80s. Now, obviously though, I fuck with people like trying to mix genres and do cool things. I think that's sick. And yeah, I just think it's like a bit of an older phenomenon. And the other thing I think is interesting is like, granted, we're talking about popularity and senses of scale, but like, at least in like my mind, which is ultimately like where all this stuff lives, it all lives up here and like how we see it. It feels like at the same time, if you know where to go to find it, you can find more traditional hip hop than ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
yeah, I mean, I think the
You
market.
got to know where to find it.
You
that
gotta
and
know where to
also-
find it, but like,
That's the only.
but
thing,
like,
yeah.
it's also not that hard. It's not hard to discover Freddie Gibbs.
No,
It's not
I mean,
hard to discover
It's-
Run the
no,
Jewels.
it's not
It's
hard.
not hard to discover West Side Gun. They're on
But do
those big.
people like do it? That's the thing. Like
Yeah,
it's
and-
not hard for me to discover.
I mean,
I don't
like,
know, some random rock band, but I don't do it.
Yeah, I mean the market is more diverse and more accessible than ever because the internet exists and social media exists and all of that. But at the same time, I think it's less so the mixing of genres as a new phenomenon and one that is commercially viable and also commercially successful, where it's becoming kind of more mainstream in that way. I think that you'd be hard pressed to find truly commercially successful rap mixed with anything else, any kind of fusion.
The first
prior to like 2009 in terms of like the normie space.
I mean, the first big hip hop hit of all time was the cover of "Walk This Way" by Run DMC. So I don't think that's true.
I mean, again, it depends
Like,
on
it's
what your
literally-
metrics are.
It's like, yeah, but that was, that sold millions when people had to go out and buy a vinyl, right?
Mhm.
Like that was, I think like that kind of mixing, I think maybe now it's happening more in the hip hop world, because like when the mixing happened in the late 90s, it was new metal. It wasn't
Right.
bringing
Yeah.
metal to hip hop. It was bringing hip hop to metal.
I'm saying
Right.
now it's the other way, where it's incorporating into it a more established genre.
Once again, I still disagree. I think that has still happened. You had, the Walk This Way example. You have like Lil Wayne's Drop the World. That was over a decade ago.
I think it is more successful now compared.
It's certainly more successful now. I'm just saying it's not something that's unique to now. Like,
No,
it's
definitely
certainly,
not.
yeah, more widespread, like a lot more mainstream, but it's something that like a lot of the big players in the game have been doing for a long time. Like, am I the only person here that remembers Reanimation?
I mean, it's not that. It's just the way I was thinking about it when he said commercialized in terms of having an impact. Like what I brought up earlier being like actually international, and like I feel like previously, I don't think US rap was as big as it is now. I feel like at least now what we have, just because of streaming, that's not even because of quality, because of the artist, it's just because of the way it's like commercialized now. It's
Yeah.
much
It's easier to consume.
right.
Yeah, it's easy.
So like I
yeah.
feel like it's way more global than it was before, just naturally. And I don't want to make a comparison to
The
basketball.
technology difference is also a huge factor. Like,
Yeah,
streaming
exactly.
being
It's
global
just things that
platform,
play into it.
right?
Have either of you seen the Owen Wilson movie Behind Enemy Lines?
A long time ago.
It's a rare example of Owen Wilson starring in a serious film where he's like a navigator for an F-18 during the Bosnian War for the U.S. and they get shot down over Bosnia pretty much. And he meets this kid who's like 17, 18, like one of these guerrilla rebellion fighters who's wearing an Ice Cube t-shirt. And he talks about like they like hitch a ride in a truck together. And he talks about like having to buy like smuggled bootlegged CDs from this market in like another town or something. And it's like, yeah, that was like 25, 30 years ago. Like things have changed. Like the level of accessibility is insane when you think about just like the levels to it. As long as you have some kind of internet connection and a device that can get on that,
Right.
you have the entire culmination of human art at your fingertips, pretty much.
You can literally acquire everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it sucks because like now like you have to be Drake in order to survive off music sales. But like it does not everything is like all doom and gloom. Like it does, propagate music across the world, right? Yeah, I do think this mixing of genres is something that happens a lot, and like I'm excited to see where it goes. But like I also think like this, I felt like some of it on this album was a little indulgent, like the "Bring Me the Horizon" feature. Now, like this might be just me speaking as someone who like spent a lot of time in like hardcore spaces that bring me like when Bring Me the Horizon was like a thing. And I've never liked them. Like I'm not really into the screamo. Like I don't know if they're technically screamo. I know they're not like late 90s like hardcore like DC people. But like that style of like the hardcore emo shit, I've never really been a fan of. So it's like, yeah, I give it that it's like a well done take on that genre, but like I don't want to like go like that's not what I want to listen to when I hear a Lil Uzi Vert like album. And I'm someone who like actively listens to that genre. Like I'm not even Purvis. I'm not even like the average Lil Uzi fan. Right.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually really liked that particular track. I think as intense as it is, it actually serves as like kind of a perfect palate cleanser because it doesn't bring with it anything from the previous tracks. Like once you hear that, it's such a disconnect from everything that came before, I feel like, that it sets you up on like a clean slate for the rest of the album. That was like how I felt about it.
I completely disagree because like after the worst cover in a long time, I feel like what I really wanted was like just a good rap song. Like,
fair enough.
And like is that like an unfair expectation?
I mean, it completely switches. I feel like after that, there is no more rap.
No, there is.
Yes, there is.
There totally is.
There 100% is.
Pluto to Mars is a rap song, and it's halfway decent. Patience could have been a good song, but it's far too repetitive.
Okay.
Like Patience would have been a good song if it was like barely 3 minutes. Days Come and Go is okay. Rehab is probably the most hip hop song on the entire project.
Zoom is also a hip hop song.
Yeah, the bonus tracks, but like.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even counting the bonus tracks.
Yeah, we're not really counting them. Like,
but again, even the fact there's 3 bonus tracks.
But then like there's the Baby Metal song, and like look, I think Baby Metal is like cool and shit, but like, really, like that. It's like this all-girl Japanese metal band is the closer.
Intro rock rap.
Okay, so Nakamura I actually enjoyed.
Nakamura like, fucking bangs. I will not hear otherwise.
No, yeah, like I get. Look, I get like why someone would hear like this is like when people are like this is kind of just karaoke over an anime theme song. I don't think they're wrong, but I like that song. I'm gonna keep it real.
For me, it's like I don't care.
No, I'll defend. But that's a valid criticism. But I will defend that song. That is like one of once again, like there's like 7 songs from this 26 song project that I'm gonna be listening to through the end of the year. Nakamura is one of them. It goes real hard.
Right? I wasn't even talking about Nakamura, but I agree.
Yeah. That's the one that actually samples like I think Nakamura is the name of the anime. I don't know. I don't watch anime.
It's the opener is like a sample.
Yeah.
Can we talk about?
I'm a comic book person.
Can we talk about Endless Fashion and Mama I'm Sorry?
Endless Fashion was one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my goddamn life.
I like Mama I'm Sorry a little bit.
Mama I'm
Endless Fashion has some extremely stupid lines.
And an awful interpolation.
I didn't mind the melody. Using it. I didn't mind it.
I question your eardrums.
I mean, it's again, the lyrics are stupid. Like lyrically, the entire thing is stupid. But the like, I guess sonically for me, it was something that was like, oh well, I wasn't expecting this, but
Sure,
It's new. It's different. It's something.
sure. I don't expect like muddy shoes in my fridge though, and I'm not exactly happy if I
It's
were to
not
find
that
that.
bad.
No, I think Endless Fashion is pretty awful. I think the Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die interpolation is like immature at best and like
Immature.
thoughtless at worst. And Nicki Minaj's like Republican ass doctor line is
No, that's terrible. I agree with
threw
that.
my
I mean,
headphones on the ground.
I'm
Now
not
they're
gonna.
not
Yeah, I'm
charging.
not. I'm not
Like-
gonna defend that.
But like that's the chorus. Like that is
I mean-
that is where you spend most of the song. Like
Now that you bring that up, there's only 6 features on this entire 26 song album,
I don't
and 3 of them are rap. Only half of them.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Are any of them good?
No.
No.
I didn't like a single feature.
Well, no, like here's the thing, like
I didn't even like Travis Scott's feature.
I didn't mind
That's
Travis.
saying a lot.
Travis
No.
Scott's feature for me is the one redeeming thing about that track. The way he comes in, I think, is really cool.
I like that
But the
track,
rest of it
actually.
is whatever.
That's like
It helps 'cause it's Travis Scott, but I feel like you hear his voice and you like it. His lyrics are not good.
yeah.
No, they're not.
No, yeah, but Travis Scott doesn't have great lyrics. Like I don't know, like
That I don't agree with that.
I'm fucking with you. I get that they're usually better than this. But like no, I actually like that song. I think that song's halfway decent. I think it but once
So-
again, like it's like I can have like if you're going to have like a 12 song like track, I can absolutely get one behind like 1 or 2 that are just pure hype. I don't need anything more
Right.
than that, right? And that like I like A. I thought it was cool. But then it just like that vibe wears out its welcome for me. And like I think he does cool stuff with like the rage sound in this sequence between Crush 'Em and Endless Fashion. Right? Like it's certainly like if I wanted to listen to that subgenre, this is where I would go. But
So, the song I wanted to talk about before we went on the train for Endless Fashion is "Mama, I'm Sorry." I think this is one of the most interesting songs on this project.
I'll listen to
I
it.
actually like Mama.
Did both of you catch? There are 3 references or interpolations here. Did you catch what they are?
So what?
What's in it? Because
So
you
it-
pointed out a bunch of stuff earlier, and I was like, I
So-
did not.
So it opens with a nod to somebody that I used to know, Gautier.
Yeah.
Then it basically riffs "Hate Being Sober" throughout the entire thing. And then when it closes, the strings at the end are RoboCop from 808s.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, for me, I really enjoyed this. I thought that I think that this is a much more creative thing than just like chopping up and chipmunking a sample and doing it for the 100th time. I think that this is something like that if I saw more of this in music in general, I would really like it because it feels much more nuanced in a way than just like here's a song you already know and like and here it is done in a different way.
But okay, so here's I like this song, and like if this was the example of that, or maybe among a handful of examples of that, of like lifting and interpolating throughout the project, I'd be down with it. But I feel like at a certain point, like there's just so much of it on this project. Like there's Blue Dabba Dee Dabba Die on Endless Fashion. There's the 3 you mentioned on Mama I'm Sorry. There's the Nakamura theme song.
And even that, the opening to
there's-
that for a second
there's the
sounds
Chop
like Hell of
Suey-
a Life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's the Chop Suey Cup. At this point, I gotta be honest. Like I thought it was immensely lazy. Like I think it's
That's
the
why I said
I
it
think
was
it's
a
the-
mixtape.
I think
it
it's the-
sounds like a mixtape.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
just a whole bunch of sounds.
Because at least like when you're chopping up a soul sample, you still have to discover that soul sample, right? And that's like a whole process in and of itself. And like, look, I think Mama I'm Sorry is like an example of doing that well, that I enjoyed, and like, but I think he does it so much, and so much of it comes across as cheap to me that like it feels more lazy than it does anything else.
That is fair, but my point of comparison for this is Prices off of Eternal Take,
Yeah.
which basically just uses the entire track for Through the Late Night and pitches it up. So I find that this is very refreshing compared to something like that. I'm so sick of stuff like that, personally. But
yeah,
I
it's
think
just like
Crisis is better than most of these songs.
no, it's a good song, but I'm saying like I find that the creatively the actual track of it instrument wise is just it's lacking because it doesn't contribute anything. It's just the same sound recycled.
Fix it, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And
I
this,
feel like
if it's recycling, it's at least doing it with I think a little bit of nuance, at least in the example of this particular track, because
Yeah.
it's like things are kind of hidden in. Like it's the
Mm,
very outro where you hear the start of the RoboCop strings.
Yeah.
mm. I feel like, and this is something I picked up on earlier as well. Because of your background, I feel like you have the most. Well, Brandon has experience as well, but you have the most experience with like photography and like making art. And like Brandon's really good with words. Like Brandon's a writer. He's great at like actually verbally like expressing himself. And he
Yeah.
does it amazingly. Half the words he says, I don't know what the fuck he means. I'll be honest. But it's okay.
Read a
And it works.
dictionary. Turns out the zebra did it.
Thank you.
Uh,
I feel like Jasper, you're the best at like taking art and like actually making art and like pieces that go into art. Cause like you can take a photo and like actually break down like different parts of it that like I would look at it and be like, I don't know what that means. I feel like you do that very well with the music as well. And I feel like that is what's playing into you enjoying Pink Tape. Because there's so many small little nuances that you're pointing
It
out
feels
that
like
it's
a
like
treasure hunt.
this is so
Yeah.
exactly. That's like this is why you like memes. This is why you're the meme person.
The references,
feel
it's the
like-
stacking of references. Yeah, that's
I
my
feel
thing.
like you love like, oh, this meme, this meme, this meme, and you're pointing out little stuff where I'm like, I didn't even.
Yeah, I
didn't
started
even
to
recognize that.
I started to do this with my girlfriend. She and I watch a lot of movies, and I've over time introduced her to like pretty much all the classics that she'd never seen, only ever seen like referenced in The Simpsons. And we watched The Graduate yesterday for the first time for her. And that's a movie that opens with the main character, Dustin Hoffman, being nervous to attend a family party. He's just feeling anxious.
No.
And at the second he exits his room and goes downstairs, the camera is extremely tight. It's like forehead to chin. And I turned to her, I'm like, so from all the films we've watched and all the things I kind of like walked you through, like how handheld camera means something is chaotic or imbalanced or whatever else, what do you think is happening here? And she goes, claustrophobia. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Like, it's literally, he's feeling claustrophobic. They're portraying it in that way. And just like breaking down visual or auditory components of something into make it make sense, like that kind of thing. Yeah. So that's like my favorite fucking thing, honestly.
So that's what I'm saying. And like I know that about you, like the limited experience we've spent with each other. Like I can point that out because like I know Jasper's like, okay, he's gonna enjoy this. So like I'm gonna send him this meme. I'm gonna send him this specific thing. I feel like from what I've gathered, I think that's why you like the Pink Tape so much because it is a treasure hunt for you. But then in my personal opinion, my counter to that is like memes only go so far.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like
I agree.
These little things that are adding, it's like, okay, that's cool to notice and like that's cool that it's added, but it's like, is this even good?
Yeah, I mean, you
Like,
can make
does
that
it
argument
work?
for hot take. You could make that argument for Uzi's entire discography. It just depends on how far you take the argument.
That is not a hard take. That is not a hot take.
when I became a Lil Uzi fan in 2016, I had friends who scoffed and like looked down their noses and like, who's laughing now? He's a serious artist who has like an actual career and whatever. But at the same time, you look at the backbone of his discography and how it's developed, and how he's kind of used multimedia to become this super influential artist. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you could argue that he's not a serious artist. But what does a serious artist mean? And is that really important? That's like another question. So from that perspective, it's like you could just go really deep with the true Scotsman argument and say like, oh, well, it's not actually this because X or Y. And you could really, I think, break down pretty much everybody except for the most like hardcore of the hardcore in terms of lyrical skill and presentation. It's like when Fantano said that Post Malone was like a 15 minutes of fame thing, and then he wasn't. I think he was thinking of it through like that exact lens, where it's like, oh, it's not really rap, and it doesn't really exist in the space that's like, it's not critically good. It's not, it doesn't bring anything new or interesting with Stoney, but it still blew up, and it's exactly that kind of thing.
Like a rock star.
Yeah.
Should we give a grade then?
Before we give a grade, I want to offer you both the opportunity to do a little activity, and I'm not saying do it now.
Okay.
But you mentioned that this album feels like a playlist or a mixtape.
Yeah.
Cut it down. Are you gonna say cut it down?
I preemptively cut this album down to around an hour. And
It was coming.
I would love to see both of you edit this down to about an hour, and I'd love to see the differences in what we choose and how we order it.
I may not reach an hour,
No,
Jasper. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I'm not
I
gonna.
may not reach an hour.
I did not like this album enough to do that excursion. I'm sorry.
I don't know. It took me like 5 minutes.
I know Brandon has done this once, and it was with Scorpion.
Just because like when I did it for Scorpion, it was like, okay, this isn't. I listened to Scorpion 100 times to like figure out how I felt about that.
I'm sorry for you.
I'm not. Yeah, like there's a reason why I made that mixed playlist and never revisited it or really listened to Scorpion ever.
You
again.
sent it to me, you're just like, this is the only way I'm listening to this going forward. I'm like, okay, bro.
Yeah.
So
But, like-
I did this for Donda Deluxe because I really hated the way it reordered the opener of Donda Deluxe, and I still wanted to get
album.
yeah, pretty much. And then I did it for this, and I got it down to 20 tracks and an hour and 10 minutes.
Okay.
You only cut 6 songs.
Well, I reordered songs too, so I think they
Okay.
flow. I think they flow better in my.
I
configuration.
think this album has a lot of problems. I don't think flow is one of them.
I don't know. I think that
I
there's
think
some,
it's
I think that there's
sequenced
some issues.
decently.
Flow is one of many.
Yeah. Now, okay, I just got before we give a grade, I want to like just bring something up because like me and Purvis are obviously very critical of this album, but like we still have like once again like there's still at
I like parts of it.
7, 8 songs I'll be listening to for a long time. Jasper, do you have any criticisms of this album?
Oh yeah, no. Purvis and I were talking about this earlier, and I thought I brought it up. Yeah, I mean, I think that it's lazy lyrically. I think it is repetitive, like we talked about.
Yeah.
The whole "you fucked my bitch while I fucked yours"
Yeah.
is unoriginal and uninteresting.
Yeah. Oh, and also this is another point I wanted to make about like the whole like dropping the whole like theme that I thought was there.
Yeah.
I also think like he kind of wants to talk about how people don't take his gender seriously and stuff. Like he has like a couple bars about that.
Yeah.
But then he also like wants to indulge in like some of the more misogynistic parts of hip hop, and it's like you gotta do one or the other, buddy. Like there's a
And also
like you gotta do one or
up,
the other, buddy. Like there's a bar of misogyny I get is just baked into the genre.
It's
But,
like it's like Uzi, you are already non-binary. If someone is fucking your bitch and you're fucking theirs, just come out as poly already. Like it's just a step further.
No.
How hard could it be?
Honestly, that's the other thing that I was gonna say. That's another reason I said I feel like some of these songs are old as hell. Because there's certain stuff like that is like he might have made some of these lyrics before you.
Yeah, some of this stuff feels like it was cut off of Eternal to Take. Honestly,
the whole point of him getting in that argument with JT at the BET Awards was because he made that Ice Spice bar. He probably made that before he even started dating her.
Yeah.
Listen to X2. That song sounds like an Eternal to Take cut.
Yeah.
It sounds like it came off of Eternal to Take. I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
But that's my point. This should have been 2 albums, or just
Yeah.
scrap.
I mean,
one
it
of
doesn't. It seems like this. To be honest, I think this album needed to be like 45 minutes. You know.
I agree. I think
there's-
that you could divide this album. You could cut some tracks. You could divide this album right after Just Wanna Rock, and even cut Just Wanna Rock clean off of it, and then that's like your breaking point.
Yeah. But like even that is like a pretty like shallow. Like that's my thing, right? Is that like I don't know. Like I feel like there are glimpses, like there are pretty like cool glimpses into like what Uzi is capable of on this.
Yeah.
But like I was very hyped for this album. And it was just
That's
it brought
the
me
other
down.
thing.
Yeah.
That's the other thing I wanted to bring up. After Summer Smash, she said, we left the venue. And you was like, I'll go see Lil Uzi if he goes on tour.
Not after
Will you
this.
go see him?
Depends on the price.
Ooh.
If it was
I'll
like
go
a
see him.
if it was like a $40 ticket, maybe. But like,
I don't
Really?
care. I don't care. What
Jasper
the
and I
price is.
talked about this earlier because we was like, I mean, we said we were gonna go see him again. Like, will we go for this album?
How much do the tickets cost? To that I say, it do not matter.
yeah, no,
Look.
it does matter to me because like once
You
again,
better play only those songs.
Well,
it does not matter.
because, like,
Hey, Nakamura live or even Flooded the Face and Suicide Doors live, I would not be mad at. Suicide Doors live would be insane.
sure, but
there's
like
7 or 8 great songs.
Yeah.
sure, but like, the Patience live would make me want to like tear the skin off my face.
Well,
Like,
you need more patience then.
yeah, like I think this album is just like more bad than good, and it's just like not something I'm like really interested in seeing live.
I'm actually curious because I didn't get around to it. You texted me and said we were going to be harsher than Fantano. What did he say? I'm just
I haven't
curious.
seen it.
Yeah, Fantano was just
If we want to talk about
he
it.
just really talked about the he really emphasized the highs, and he
Okay.
also was very into Uzi's take on the rage sound.
Okay.
So, and I think he also had like more of an appreciation for the Bring Me the Horizon and the Baby Metal features, because
More than
like because here's the thing, like those are well done within their context. I
Purvis
don't,
and I were talking about this. We
Yeah.
got to bring this up before we end.
yeah.
But go ahead.
But yeah, like
Well,
I think like the Werewolf is like a well-made Bring Me the Horizon song, but like I don't want to hear that on the Pink tape. Like, and I
I
don't.
don't want Bring Me the Horizon.
Yeah, and it's like, and like if I do get a song featuring them, I want him to be front and center. I know like not everyone can be Kendrick Lamar, but think about like the U2 feature on Damn, where like they use every member of that band to like create like a really sonic experience, but it's still very much a Kendrick song.
Yeah, I took that exact point in a different way, where I said to Purvis earlier, I said, when you re-listen to it, listen to those songs that do not fall into hip hop as like the main genre, not as specifically tracks that need to fit within a context of a hip hop album, but as what they are, just as like artistically as their own capsule. Because when you think about it, well, yeah, it's an album. They're gonna be, but we already
I
said.
just think like that's like swimming upriver. That I think, I just think that's like a very
It's a good intention, but it's hard to do that.
It's
hard
also
to do it.
It's also unintuitive, and also I think kind of to a certain point, it's just like, what are you gonna do to justify these songs? Like,
oh no, I'm not justifying the songs. But
no,
what I'm saying is, like, if this is the direction he's going, it's like, well, this song could be a preview of things to come. So you might as well like look at it in its own context in that way. Like, what if an album comes out that's like all of that, right? It's just like a thought experiment. But I'm just saying, it's like, hey,
question. Then. If there was one album with just that part, like the later half that is very clearly focused on this rage rock, different from hip hop, if he dropped an album with just that, and you have to judge it on that genre standards, because every genre has different standards, would it be good? I don't know. I genuinely have no idea, because I
think he's capable. I think he'd be capable of making something that stands on its own. I think it would be weird for a lot of people, a lot of his fans.
Does this stand on its own?
I
if
think
you took out all the music.
I think it's
judge this.
I think it's impossible to tell by the Pink tape.
No, that's fair.
I think it's because
it has to be
because it's not. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't feel like an Uzi song featuring Bring Me the Horizon. It doesn't feel like him doing that sound. It feels like Uzi featured on a Bring Me the Horizon sound. That doesn't even like that song doesn't even sound specifically like that genre. It sounds specifically like that band, right? It's the difference between doing G-Funk and then also doing a Snoop Dogg accent on top of it, right? Like, you see what I mean? And Baby Metal, same exact thing, although like they're not a band I think I've ever seriously listened to, but hey, they're cool.
Yeah.
I didn't mind their chorus for the outro. I thought it was like a solid outro.
Yeah, no,
I was just really confused.
I didn't. No, it's not awful by any stretch. But I think Uzi gets lost a little bit. Less than on the Werewolf. But more than I would want from like Uzi doing that as a whole album. And the other thing is that like I don't think like I don't care that if this is teasing something to come, because I'm listening to this right now. And
this
like
is what I have.
The thing I'm listening to right now should be as good as possible, right? And like that's the thing. Like it's this very corporate long-term growth like thing where it's like, oh, I'm gonna tease the other album, oh, I'm gonna tease these other songs. It's like, no, make the one album. Make the one album.
Make it good.
Right? Like just make the one. Right? And like, yeah, like look, and if you strike out, you strike out. And if you do it over the course of like 3 years and you want to put 1,000,000,000 songs on it, I'm probably going to not enjoy it, but that's fine. But like, I don't care about if Uzi is going to make a rock album in the future. I care about the album I'm listening to right then and there, like what I'm doing instead of like working on my novel, like. And I don't think that's an
man took it personally.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like but that's how I feel about these things, right? Like the current
you
thing,
made me listen to this.
Yeah. Well, no, the current thing that you're like doing
I know what you mean.
should be paramount, right?
Yeah.
Like like I think Good Kid, Mad City is better for the fact that there's not one jazzy song in the middle of it, like, teasing something future. And I also think it's better for people, like, just creatively to like think in like silos. Like everyone thinks like there's this very like this idea that like creative people don't like rules. They don't like, like it's complete freedom is like paramount to expression and creativity. But I actually don't think that's true. I think like having like a vision and like aiming towards it is kind of like what's important. And like there is vision on certain tracks and like in like certain sequences on this, but it's just far too disconnected. And it just makes the overall experience like a lot worse.
As much of a kind of controversial subject as he is right now, Tom Sachs has a great TED Talk about that. It's called How to Succeed in Spite of Your Own Creativity. Yeah. And it's specifically about focusing creativity and basically channeling it through actual hard work.
Yeah.
Because creativity is only applicable when it's being put to work.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's 100% true. And I think that this album kind of walks that line. I feel like there's thought that's gone into it in the sense that like things are meticulously placed and tracks are well choreographed and put together, sequenced, whatever. But at the same time, it's just like because it doesn't have the makings of a concept album or doesn't rely heavily enough on the concepts it brings to the table, it falls apart. I agree with that, like 100%.
Yeah. All right. Grading.
Jasper, you go first.
B.
Okay. No words, just B.
I mean, I think it's got strong tracks. 9 of these tracks made it into my likes. I think it's too long. I think that it could have been 2 projects or like a double disc 1, disc 2 business. And I think it doesn't cover ground in a way that's interesting enough to warrant anything higher. I think musically it earns the B. Vocally lyrically it's more of a B- or a C. But for me, the part that I think is more impactful of the two in this case is how it is musically. So that's my grade.
I'm gonna go with a C-.
Okay.
It's not a failure. It's not like a critical failure. That's like I think like makes me worry about Uzi's future. But I think the 7 songs I really like just don't outweigh the 19 that I found anywhere between like just repetitive all the way down to like aggressively bad. So like, am I checking out of Uzi? No, but this is a project I will probably only revisit when the 7 songs come up on my playlist.
Okay. I'll say this. I'm going to give it a C- personally. The reason being is pretty much everything that you just explained. I do not see any patterns, any direction. It's too long. It feels like 2 albums put together. I don't like some of the themes or some of the actual sounds that even come up because I don't listen to some of the other genres that are put into this album.
Yeah. And the other thing is that like Bring Me the Horizon and Baby Metal are like very specific sounds.
They are.
And it's like
that's what I'm saying. I can't even begin to start judging this sound because I have nothing to even compare it to.
No.
But I will say this. I will give it a C-. If this motherfucker actually dropped Love is Rage 3 because this goes number 1 and that's good, I'm giving this an F. just out of like
Yeah.
principle.
Yeah, no, like, and that's another thing. Like, I'm
going to be annoyed.
I'm gonna be cooling on Love Is Rage. If he releases Love Is Rage 3, like
Within this year, I'm gonna be mad as hell.
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
I know it
It's
won't
gonna be
because
2 years.
I know.
I know. I'm just saying.
I know he won't, but if he does,
But he
we're
teased
boycott-
it.
We're
The fact
boycotting.
that he teased
Revolution now.
Honestly, like
Revolution now.
well, no, because like the tease is like, I don't know. The tease is like very distasteful to me. Like I don't.
No, I mean that's fair.
The other thing is,
I don't want to like have it
yeah.
like affect like how I feel about this album much, but like it certainly affects how I feel about Uzi. Like it's very gross.
Right.
Like like the whole conceit with an artist is that like you want to do this. Like you're giving me an insight into you through doing this. It's not, you know.
These
and like
projects are you. It defines you.
And
it's
like,
so important.
Yeah, and like here's the thing, right? As much as I do not particularly love this project, I do think like it is like an Uzi project. I do not think it's like a soulless corporate venture.
No, definitely not.
Yes.
However, if he drops Love Is Rage 3 in response to this project, then it objectively is.
Bro.
Right? Then this and like my feelings on like this project as like as a whole thing and like Lil Uzi will change probably irrecoverably.
That's what I'm saying. If he actually does drop Love Is Rage, there's two things that go into this. One, this is just a BS album, and that one annoys me. But like, two, the biggest thing that I know about the music industry and just like researching it, these artists, when they actually release an album and you get the album on Spotify, there are months of preparation that happens before that. Like months of actually getting everything cleared, getting everything approved, getting it on the service, getting everything licensed. Like the fact if Love Is
I have a question.
If it comes out, I'm mad as hell because this was intentional.
Yeah.
But go, your question.
So I know it's obviously not the same context, but to me, the existence of the corporate album, as it were, to satisfy like the corporate overlords and this whole thing about like sales numbers. How is this that different from Frank Ocean releasing Endless and Blonde?
Infinitely.
Really?
Yes, because Endless and Blonde was meant to get out
And
of a bogus contract.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is
that's the difference.
It
was an
exploitative
bad contract, and he did it as a middle finger. Yeah,
no, this was an overnight thing. Yeah. Both albums was like overnight.
Yeah,
one and then
I know, and that's kind of what I'm saying is like, yeah, in one it's like there's the kind of holding hostage of the album for the fans. Obviously, that's very different. But at the end of the day, isn't the end goal kind of satisfied in both ways? One is either to make more money through streaming or make more money because you don't have to share with your record label, right? It's like at the end of the day, both of these decisions are commercially focused.
They're completely
in
different.
My opinion, they're very different. One is getting out of a bogus contract and doing a middle finger to your person,
right? But then doing that, you are conveniently making 10 times more money on the project because you don't have to
Frank
share
Ocean
it.
Made 10 times as much money on Endless.
I was about to say,
you really think that?
What's better?
No, I'm saying it's the other way around.
Yeah.
I'm saying better? Because he wasn't in a contract for Blonde, he doesn't have to fork over all these royalties and whatever.
But the thing is, this is an idea we had.
I see what you're saying.
No,
different.
I still think there is a objective, like, massive difference, and we talked about it on when Frank Ocean did Coachella, right? When he did that with Endless, what he was doing is he was giving a middle finger to the corporate record, like people who had his deal, right?
Yes, and that's fair.
That's who he fucked over. If this is the case, which is still an if, this is fucking over the fans. This is just using the and that is the difference.
No, I understand that.
And I don't.
What I'm saying is I think that at the end of the day, there's still a level of financial self-interest in both decisions. So in that way, I can't help but think that this is similar in that way.
Well, you should. It's like
well, it is.
What I would say.
Sure, but like, so is just.
Hold on. Okay. In terms of Frank Ocean, though, the reason I don't compare the two is because like Blonde is like it's a perfected album. Like it is literally one of the best
It's a piece
albums
of
of
art.
our generation.
Yeah,
Right,
of course.
like,
I mean,
To
no one's
compare
arguing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But to compare that to Endless, which was, I like Endless, but
I love
Endless,
Endless.
it is not complete. Let's be honest. From what we know in terms of the quality of Frank Ocean, it's not complete. To compare Endless to the Pink Tape and then a potential Love is Rage 3 to Blind, I just don't see any comparison at all.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
Blind,
comparing them
Yeah.
critically.
I know, but what I'm saying is Blind, not even, I don't give a fuck about the quality. Obviously, we all like Blind. But
Yeah.
in terms of like it being a cash grab, I just think it completely, you need to toss that theory out just because like Blind itself is so focused on the quality. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter how
Yeah,
much
no,
money
And-
he made.
and-
I didn't
And he
see it
doesn't
as
give
a
a fuck about money in general as a person.
Yeah.
We know Frank
I
Ocean.
disagree. $6,000 cock rings disagree with you.
That
Yeah.
has
But
nothing to do with music, though.
Yeah.
Like his music, if he dropped one single, that will blow out every cell he had
of
from
course,
Homer.
of course,
Uh.
but for me, it was never about it being necessarily a cash grab. But it's two artists seeing this opportunity of like, hey, I can take this action that will very directly allow me to make way more money in through some context. I don't know, just
But
the fact that it's
contract
financially
is about way more than money, though. The contract's
that's what I'm
also
saying.
about
Sure.
freedom. It's about what you can and can't put out.
Frank Ocean would have
Right.
made $0.
And
if
like
he
the
don't give a
other
fuck.
thing
That's
is
the
that
thing.
like I think that's a very overly general connection because every artist at this level has to make like commerce level decisions for their career, right?
Oh, sure.
Everyone
Yeah.
does that. And whether your decision is to like do the Frank Ocean strategy, to like fuck over the contract and to get into a place where you make more money and have more creative freedom, whether it's, you know, I think another example of this is like when Run the Jewels hands out their music for free because people will then spend more money on merch and they make a lot more money on that.
Smart.
Right? Like people, but like you see how like that's like all of those are like decisions
Comparisons.
made like with money in mind, but like they're not similar. And I think like the fact that like the impetus of like that contract, like the impetus of the contract and the blonde thing, I think like it's the difference between like murder and self-defense. I think it's a huge, like, I think like it is a line in the sand in terms of like what is going on here. And like, yeah, you can zoom out even farther and then you can say, well, they're kind of similar in this way. And then I'm like, yeah, but in that way, they're also similar to a bunch of other things that are completely irrelevant.
Sure. No, I that's fair. I
So-
just when
I
we
will
were talking
defend
about
Frank Ocean to the death.
No, I won't. That Coachella thing was bad. Like,
when we were talking about it, I
joking, I'm
just
joking.
the lens of it, the lens of art being in some way potentially corrupted or whatever by commercialism is what I was trying to get at. Where
but
it's just like,
commercialism is like how it has to happen.
no, I understand,
Yeah, and,
I
like,
understand,
it's forced.
but and obviously the fact that like all I'm saying, or all I was trying to say is like the idea that the fact that if Love is Rage 3 does come out in this context and it's like, oh, this album is just dirty because it's a marketing ploy.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I just the fact that the situation is fan facing, I understand it being different, but for me it doesn't feel nearly as different as like an artist releasing something directly independently and then almost to an extent milking it in some ways. I feel like Chance had that moment with Chance 3 a little bit, and I feel like Frank Ocean's had that with Blonde a little bit as well, where it's like that there's direct, like very focused, directed, like let's put out as much merch and as many physical re-releases or whatever as we can for this particular project because we don't have to share these profits with anybody.
But like,
And as much as that's like a whatever strategy in the long run, because obviously business is gonna business, it's just one of those things where it's like I feel like I think about that, and it does for me personally sour the experience just a little bit. Like when Frank Ocean re-released the Blonde record, and I still wanted to buy it and I didn't or couldn't, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, well, obviously you're gonna sell out and make tons of profit because you know that this is a desirable thing, but you've done it around a project that is independently released So you are very clearly like capitalizing on that to just maximize your own personal takeaway.
But like
And it's just one of those like.
but they earned
I
that
would
by
rather
making
them
good
do that.
albums though.
No, and that's fair. Yeah,
That's the thing. But like Blonde is like more than just like an album or an asset. Blonde is the soundtrack to a shit ton of memories I have, like going back to 26. But no, like I'm being real though. Like
Yeah, I got
I
you.
grant them that level of like, yeah, he's gonna make money off Blonde until the day he dies.
yeah.
Because that's a piece of art that has like touched and changed people's lives. Do you
Mhm.
think the Pink Tape is going to touch and change people's lives?
No, and I never said it would. For me, that's the connection.
Right.
But-
For him, it's not about the quality.
But
So I have a question. Then.
it's not about quality. It's about like what like these albums have become like cultural staples. Like they've become like the
Right.
equivalent, like the modern day musical equivalent of like a Star Wars, right? Like of course they're always going to make it like available. And like once again, like yeah, it's kind of commercialist, but that's how they eat, and I grant them that because they make albums I want to listen to.
That's fair. I just want to say real quick, you can still buy the Chance 3 hat. I was just checking. But like that's still a thing. Hasn't gone down in price. It's just like, hey, let's
Jasper, let me put it this way. You just bought how much Tyler the Creator merch?
Well, I'm making up for lost time because I never owned it.
But I'm saying you're making.
And wait, no, hold on. None of it was that old. No, none of it was that old. I bought Igor, which is 2019, and there are pressings from when it came out still available. So I got one of those. And then the deluxe version of Call Me If You Get Lost came out, which I never owned. And then I got Flower Boy as a birthday gift.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like in terms of being a fan, you do want these things to exist.
Yeah.
No,
So
I do.
okay
But there's what I'm saying is there's the cognitive dissonance there of like, I don't know how much I want to support like these super legacy re-releases where it's like especially when the artist hasn't made anything new recently. And it's like it feels like the whole like resting on laurels because they maximize what they make off of that. That's the thing.
Would you buy
I just think that just sounds.
Would I buy Man on the Moon 1? I have Man on the Moon 1.
As a Kid Cudi, if he re-released like
Yeah.
a new fucking Kid Named Cudi special limited whatever, would
You know what? I think I would, but the reason is because he's putting things out and he's continuing to move as an artist. He's not just focusing on that holding that project in like this space
that's what
of
you're
like
getting.
But like,
You're
don't
getting
you?
that
But
project.
like,
You're not getting the new album.
But like,
No.
don't.
Man on the Moon.
But like, don't you assume that a little bit? Like, we don't know what Frank Ocean's working on. He's a recluse. Like,
no, I know.
Like, for all we
mean-
know, there's a whole ass album we never got because of 2020.
And his brother died.
Yeah. And then when you frame it like that, like, yeah, like he spent 4 years making an album. He threw it out because his brother died. Seems like a pretty reasonable explanation to me. And then it's been 3 years later. Like, yeah, it's a super long time.
Till I die.
But like, I don't know. Like, it just seems like, yeah, I guess if your main contact point with these things are like as assets and like, you know, financial statements, I get it. But like, you know, I also like don't like the Chance comparison because just because Chance hasn't been doing things that are good
Completely solo.
doesn't mean like he hasn't been doing things, right? He released Coloring Book in 2016. He released he toured it on, you know, he toured it in 2017, starting with, you know, the tour in 2016. 2018, he dropped all those singles. 2019, we don't speak of. 2020, the world shut down. 2021, nowhere to be seen. 2022, he started releasing singles again. So it's like, has he been gone? Like, it seems like that's just like a narrative, you know, that like you can buy, that like makes sense. Like if you think about it and you don't go back and you look up his release dates.
No, and that's fair. It's one of those things, like I said, it feels to me like if an artist comes back with or just has available merch or product or whatever from their most successful project, regardless of how long ago it is, and it's always available, or it's like this really wide release, feels a bit like a cash grab. Because I think in a lot of ways that's kind of what it is. Because you're capitalizing on the fact that this whole thing is like, oh, you know, it's the thing that you like from a long time ago, and we didn't have to really make anything new to get you to enjoy it again.
And you don't think
I'm not
26
gonna lie.
songs on a streaming platform with very low effort throughout a lot of them is not also a cash grab by like
I never said it wasn't. I'm just talking specifically
You're
about
saying
the whole
in
like
general,
album context.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the album
I-
context.
I will say though, Jasper, I am shocked to hear you say this.
Yeah.
As
Oh,
like,
I'm guilty of consuming it. I'm just pointing it out.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. I was
But,
gonna
like-
say,
I
as
was
someone
above
that's
it.
like a
Yeah, but it just-
sneakerhead and like
No,
a
Yeah.
I'm not
collection
saying I'm above
person,
it. I'm just I
I'm like,
recognize
damn,
it.
I'm surprised.
But then
okay,
And
you
but
that's
I
why I
respect that.
just
I
that's why I
respect
just said cognitive dissonance, because I'm making
Yeah.
the decision to buy into it, but at the same time I recognize that it's a problem. That's what I'm
I
trying to say.
understand.
But do you
No,
reckon?
I get that.
Yeah,
I get
it just I don't know.
Is it a problem though? Because you do enjoy it as a consumer.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just saying.
in the sense that we vote with our dollars, yes, it's a problem because we're encouraging companies and we're encouraging artists not to innovate.
Mm.
If they just give us their greatest hits in a new
not-
package every single time, then it's like that's a whole thing. But
I would
whatever.
I feel like you and Brandon have had multiple discussions and arguments about sneakerheads being a real community. And I
Yeah.
just feel like this goes against your usual taste.
I never said sneakerheads were in a real community. I said
Okay,
it-
I'm sorry.
No,
that's
I
a-
mean-
that is a
Your point.
gross that is
There
a
is
gross
always-
mischaracterization.
Purvis. There's
Sorry,
always
sorry.
going to be community around something that people share collective interest in,
Which is
regardless of whether or not someone else thinks it's ethical that a company makes money off of that thing.
Yeah.
But with that being said, what I'm getting at is the fact that I think that artists and companies and other people who produce things should be, to an extent, held accountable to continue to produce things if they're doing it for a premium price and for an audience that they know is passionate and they're really tapping into that vein. Look at all the bullshit Jordan 1 colorways that have come out recently and how people haven't been buying them, right?
Yeah, you're
This
right.
is an example of that, where
All right.
Nike as a brand kind of got complacent, kind of released the same thing way too many times. And in doing so, they've kind of killed off the desirability of one of their products in the short, at least in the medium term.
The whole
and I-
value of holding that shoe is like it
Yeah.
just doesn't mean as much.
And that's exactly how I feel about like certain limited pressing album re-releases when something hasn't come out in a long time. That's like new or different.
Okay.
I don't
Frank
know.
Ocean re-releasing in that way, he could charge whatever he wanted for Blonde because he knew that the resale value of the original copy of Blonde was $1,000.
What
So-
what did he charge though?
Wasn't
I
like
get
100?
Yeah, I got the vinyl myself. I
Wasn't
have
like
it.
Wasn't like $100 for.
Let me see if I can get. I want to give you like a confident number, so give me.
I remember it being steep because his web shop is always pretty steep. Like
Yeah.
the hoodies he released for Blonde Radio were like $160.
But it's like I don't know, dude. It's like that's how an artist eats. I feel like it's like do you want him to go?
I think Frank Ocean is eating fine, regardless of whether or not he puts out the physical.
But like
Is he? No,
no, I'm serious. Like, but how do you know that? Like, she doesn't make shit off streaming. Nobody does. Like,
I mean, Blonde did re-enter
doesn't
the
tour.
Billboard Hot 100 in like 2020.
It's not going
it's cool. He
anywhere.
made an extra $28 off of Blonde. Like, that's
Well,
like.
but he doesn't share a cut with a label though, is the thing. So it's like there's that much more for him.
Yeah, that's what, like 30%, 40%. That's what a label cut usually is.
Yeah, but at the scale at which artists like this operate, it's still a lot.
Sure, but like what's a lot? Like a couple million? Like, I'm fine with that. If
I don't
someone's
have the
making
data.
it,
I don't
like-
have the data to back
like,
this up. I'm
Because
just
like
saying.
I highly doubt he's pulling him like unquestionable amount of money. Like I know he's like well off. Like I'm not saying like he's a pauper or like part of the working class, but like
I paid $69.06,
see like
With-
that's
with
not
shipping or without?
including shipping.
Yeah,
Shipping was
that's
actually $0. Illinois tax was $4.06.
yeah, that's absolutely not a ridiculous price to pay for it. Like that's the thing. It seems like this is a like if he wants to keep like eating off of something he put his fucking heart and soul into, like who like
I just like Blonde. I wanted it.
No,
No,
like,
I don't. That's the
yeah.
thing. I don't. As
I'm
someone
not
who
gonna
indulges
lie.
in this behavior,
Right?
I don't
Like-
blame you for it. I understand it. But I
Yeah.
think that we should, as consumers,
Fight back.
and exactly like Uzi or exactly like anybody else who kind of rests on their achievements in this way or like really capitalizes on them, hold them accountable.
I just
Say,
think
hey,
I don't
you're
know,
not
man.
making
Like,
art of
I think-
consequence. You're not making good
I
art.
think
So
you
why
are-
should we continue to give you money?
No, dude, you're kind of out of line right now. Like I think you have greatly misunderstand how hard it is to make something of that caliber, right? Pink Tape is a C-
Getting them
album, and it
double
took
blonde
3
hard.
years to make, right? Like
Sure.
have you ever tried to make like like
blonde?
write something? Well, no, like write a book or like make a film or something. Like I
Yeah.
made a really like short 12-minute short film. It took a year of my life and like $1,000, right? It was, and like by compare, like money wise, it doesn't even sound like a whole lot, but like at the time it was. And it's like it took me 3 years to like make my follow up to that because like I was doing everything, right? I think you are grossly underestimating it how hard making something worthwhile is, right?
I think it really it's a very individually determined thing though. And I think for artists who I hold in really high esteem in this way, who have proven themselves in a creative context, given the fact that they've made such legendary pieces of work in the past, I feel like making something that's halfway decent, even as a next project, for someone who's that creatively talented and who's released and featured on and written so many just absolute masterpiece songs, albums, whatever, toured the world, been a world-class artist since 2009 or whenever. It's like one would think that they might be able to put out something new in a way that feels authentic to them, that even if it's not the best thing we've ever heard, it's still creatively competent. It's still obviously going to be commercially successful because of the scale at which they operate again. And they can do it in a way that if they go ahead and then continue to release like physical product or whatever, to me personally, it doesn't feel like they're just again capitalizing on something that they made a long time ago and then really just walking away from the scene entirely. And that's like, I feel like Uzi, to an extent, or very much so actually with this project, kind of in the same vein. The fact that he went out and did all these festival appearances and whatever before Pink Tape came out,
Mm.
you know, technically that's the same kind of thing. You go out, you play the hits, you get paid however much money that we discussed prior, and that's like a whole thing. But yeah, it's one of those things where I just think that artists who are going to demand premium prices for their goods, their intellectual property, whatever it is, I think they should continue to contribute to their artistic catalog in a way that makes people feel engaged and makes people feel as though they are buying into something, knowing that it has a kind of, I guess, future in the sense that there's more art and more to enjoy if they're going to invest
Yeah.
their time and their energy, but also in a way that makes them feel as though what they're spending is far less than the value of the work itself.
Yeah, just
I
like
think that,
I just don't disagree. I just it's like, yeah, but I I'm just trying to give it like that shit takes time though. Like it's not,
no, I know.
and it's
I
like,
know it does.
and it's especially when you're an artist like at that caliber, it's one of the issues with someone we saw yesterday like say is like he's like, oh, I don't get how people like take 5 years to make an album, like because they made Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers,
Sure.
which yeah,
Not her loss.
which is not
It's two different things.
like, and it's this stuff takes like really intense like personal reflection, and like I think it's kind of makes sense that Lil Uzi, who's like in the public eye and like making these hits and stuff, like yeah, like he's just making this thing, like because to me, if you're asking like what's more of a cash grab, Purvis paying $70 for a Blonde vinyl or Uzi releasing a 27 song, or 26 song like album where most of the songs sound the same and like in the first half and then the second half is just like wild experimentation.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's, to me, that is
No,
significantly more of a cash grab and also kind of just like selling out the idea of artistic merit.
Right, but
because,
that's not what I originally said. I didn't compare those two things originally. My comparison was specifically the whole like teasing the next album and the whole number one business, which
Yeah.
obviously is shitty. But my point of reference for the Blonde thing is also the fact that the physical product dropped strategically right after it was announced that he was going to be doing Coachella. So it's like, oh, hey, Frank Ocean has now re-entered the public eye through a live performance for the first time in X amount of time. Here's the perfect time to put something out on the web store. And then, yeah, that he fucked it up and really
Yeah, but
that whole thing. So it's like, I don't know. It's about, for me, it's like the timing of what feels like capitalizing on people's excitement, emotions, whatever. And I obviously, like I said, I buy into it. I know what it's like. So for me, it's just like I took issue with that kind of thing. And I think that buying into people's emotions and getting like, oh boy, we're gonna get Love Is Rage 3 if we like get this #1. Come on, everybody stream the album, is not too far off from like, oh boy, Frank Ocean is gonna be at Coachella. Now's the time to buy that vinyl because it's available again conveniently. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I just fundamentally disagree, but we can move on from there.
Let's do the concert.
All right. So we also saw a Drake concert yesterday. Purvis, let's start with the most important thing. Would you like to rate his braids?
10 out of 10 braids. I want those braids, but I'm getting locked, so
yeah.
Honestly, great tour. Should we start off with the venue?
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
It's the United Center.
I love United Center.
It sucks to get home from, dude. I like the United Center, but it's shitty to get home from, and it is not well placed. But like, it is what it is. It's a great venue. I like that you can get out there. I like that they open all the doors and you could just get out immediately. I like
looking at you, Aragon Ballroom.
Yeah,
you fuckers.
Please.
Yeah.
Fix it.
100%. 100%. We're
you
looking
sons
at
of bitches. It was so fucking moist after we went to Don Toliver, and we had
Don
to wait
Toliver,
for so long.
Don Toliver was literally moister than 2 of the 3 days at Summer Smash.
It was sauna. It was literally a sauna with all that
literally,
smoke.
Like,
bruh, come on. But I mean,
I will not apologize for how moist it was. Purvis.
No, you shouldn't. I support this. We're on the same side now.
Finally, we agree on something.
Don Toliver, too moist.
Look, our fans did not get the Don Toliver review, so all you need to know, it was moist.
It was very good, very moist.
Don Toliver had hand towels he was using to wipe his own face and then would throw them into the crowd as souvenirs. Not a hat, not a shirt, a used sweaty towel. I pull up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I love the United Center. Easy to get in, easy to get out. Parking is phenomenal.
Easy to get out.
It's right on 290. I can go straight home. I love everything about it. Great seats. Good thing about this concert, in the middle of the fucking floor. It's not over on the side.
Yeah, sometimes they do that though.
Equal view. They do that.
When I saw the Yeezus tour there, that's what they did, and like it was still good, but not as good as this.
They did that for J. Cole, and then Kendrick. A little bit. He moved around doing a performance. Yeah. But regardless, I love the United Center. They sell food. They sell drinks. Decently priced.
I don't know about that. That shit's super fucking expensive. Holy shit.
It is what it is. I'm
it's a stadium. It's a stadium.
You make a decision. Right. you go to a concert, you got to spend $15, $20.
I just loved going to Absol and getting $7 beers. That was the greatest thing in the world.
We were like in the middle of nowhere next to a campus in a fucking hole in the wall. Yeah. But it's some sacrifice you make. Hot take, or not even hot take, mild take. Stadium venues better than festival venues. I said what I said.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. Second thing, crowd vibe and demographic. Brandon, you hit it right on the nose. If you want to have a good crowd and a big crowd, you need to make music for women.
Yeah.
I will say, out of all of the concerts I've been to Kendrick, I've been to Kanye, I've been to J. Cole, I've been to Future. Actually, Future was kind of close.
Future was close, but not like this.
The most highest ratio of female to male that I've seen in my life.
Yeah. No.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. No. This stood out look, this is my grand theory for the year. And that's if you really want to dominate the culture, the audience you need on your side is women.
You need to make music.
They ride or die. And Drake 100%. Is the best example of that. Low-key, you know who has probably as much as Future, not as much as Drake, but had a crazy high female in the audience?
Who was that?
Run the Jewels.
Really?
Crazy high.
Would not have expected that in the slightest.
Yeah. They're known for a respectful show. They had,
okay.
Yeah. Once again, not Drake, But like,
We will see Run the Jewels eventually.
yeah,
There were a lot of women out for G Herbo at Summer Smash.
There were a lot of
Like
women
yeah.
out.
a surprising amount.
yeah, for sure,
I was surprised.
for sure.
No
yeah,
question. But this
it's
was
this
something
is
I've never seen.
people
before.
were showing up in ball gowns, right? Like
it
it's
was fully dressed, like
Yeah.
going to the club.
Yeah.
Like it was impressive. I went to go get a drink. Someone hit me up there. We were sitting in our seats. Somebody turned around. Do you have a dab pen? I'm like, bro, this is absurd. There's just people everywhere. And everyone's friendly. Everyone's cool.
it
Great
was
vibe.
an
Like,
amazing vibe. It
everyone
was such,
is screaming and singing to every song.
yeah.
It was the best crowd.
It was very much like not the crowd I expected at a Drake show. Like people were like on point with getting in and out. Like there wasn't a lot of like people sitting around and like there wasn't any screaming. There wasn't. I mean, people were going hard.
One
but there
girl,
was,
yeah.
No, I mean like no one. I
What do you-
don't think there was anyone around us who was
But
annoying.
like screaming to like the music.
I meant
the good one. Yeah.
in a way that was annoying. You know,
Okay.
I don't
have
think
a-
there was anyone that was anywhere.
We've
close
seen
to-
a lot of that lately.
Yeah.
With the
Very
shows we've been going to. I have a
festivals
question
are
for both of
prone
you.
for that. Yes.
Yes. So, obviously, what, second biggest technically streaming artist in the world now?
Something like that.
Probably the biggest fan base and like monthly listeners and whatever. What did the demographic look like there? Was it like what was the age?
There was
and, like,
everyone. There were
It
people.
was the
There
most
were
mixed crowd I've ever been.
there were people you could copy and paste into Summer Smash. There
Mhm.
were like
Older,
there was
full
older
adults.
people. I would say the thing I saw the most was couples,
Yeah.
which
Yeah, that doesn't
makes
surprise
a
me.
shit ton of sense.
Dude, I'm
Uh,
going up the escalator, and my cousin from Milwaukee just randomly is there
Yeah.
with his wife, and they're pushing 40. And I'm
Oh
like,
my
Yeah,
God.
dude, there were people like there was, and the other thing is that like breaking up G Herbo, like it was cool to have like an audience that like appreciated what that music was for, right? Like the G Herbo, like why are you moshing to my music? Like
Yeah.
this is, it's Drake. There's no need for that.
there was
like,
no moshing. Everyone
no-
was singing
everyone
along.
is-
Very
And
Wait,
it wasn't like
I have
oh
a meme for this.
we were. It wasn't like we were in the upper decks and like there's just gonna be no room to mosh there. We had a perfect view of like GA.
You can
and,
see
like,
everything. Everyone was cool.
I mean, like everyone was tightly packed like a mosh pit for
Yeah.
sure. But like
Because they're trying to see
but
it,
just
but
because
yeah.
of how many people were there,
Right.
right?
I won't name drop her, but Jasper, you know the person we used to work, or you used to work with, I work with.
Mhm.
She was there in line at like 4 p.m.
Yeah,
and she waited out the door with her brother to get in stage. And like the pictures that she sent me, she was next to the statue,
That's
the
crazy.
Virgil statue.
That's
so, like,
wild.
Just to give you like an example of the crowd, like those are you, like the casual person at the crowd was that person.
yeah.
Like,
it was
insane.
Yeah.
There was a line to get into the United Center. That's never happened
Yeah.
to me personally. Oh, what's this?
A meme for you.
Uh-oh.
There's no need for that.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like,
but
when
like
I see you this morning, my voice was gone. I couldn't take calls this morning. Like I legitimately I told Abe, and I was like, I'm going to
no. Yeah.
I
So
had to, because like me myself, a grown man, like I was singing along to Marvin's Room like it was nothing.
how could you not? But yeah, no, it was a hell of a show. I will say it was not lined up like how I was expecting it. Like I thought it was going to be pretty traditional, where like 21 and Drake had like separate sets, and I thought 21 would play before Drake, just because like, But what they did, like, it turns out it really was mostly a Drake show. Like
it honestly was.
But could 21 do something for him?
yeah,
21 did do something for him.
Yeah.
They made the crowd sing along, and
Yeah.
everyone.
yeah, they
Of
made
course
yeah.
they did.
Dude,
Did Drake
and-
did Drake do the walk?
At some points, there
Okay.
actually was. He oh my god, what's this? Jesus Christ, I'm blanking out. There's a song where the floor just went full tie dye and all the lights are going on. And it's
Oh,
a famous
yeah.
song where he's like this,
Oh,
whatever.
Hotline Bling.
Highlight Blink.
Yeah,
yes.
he like
How could you
So he
forget
did that.
Hotline
He
Bling?
did that. He did that.
The
dance
national
a little bit.
anthem.
yeah.
Yes.
Dude, the stagecraft on this was unlike anything
The
I
best
had
I've ever seen.
ever seen. Right?
There were
It
fireworks, flames, lights, screens,
Yeah.
things flying around. Look, it's a benefit. Like, and I was talking to Brandon about this at the show. I understand that, like, once you reach this level, you just have certain benefits. You have certain access to certain skills and certain tools. Drake discography and popularity, it's just not fair. It really isn't. Anything you could imagine that was going to be at the show, he could do it.
Yeah.
He legitimately could.
And the other thing is that, like, I do think he was very strategic about, like, the entire show's concept and flow. Like,
Yes.
I kind of like the tour is called It's All a Blur. And, like, the first, what would you say, how long was he on stage? Probably like 2 hours, a little bit more.
Well, the thing is, it started a little bit late. We had the opener first, which was the Jamaican dude.
Oh, yeah, the guy who's on Coil Ray, Ski something.
Yeah.
He was
I'll
cool.
be honest, the crowd was feeling him, but I don't think anyone really knew him, and I couldn't understand him.
I thought he had, like, audio issues. Like, it sounded like his mic was not, like, turned on, really. Which was crazy because it was
really thick accent.
It was pitch perfect for Drake, but, like, it didn't sound like it was working for him.
So he came out first, and then you had a DJ set, and he closed out with Chicago Freestyle. Phenomenal.
Yeah. Although
it would be nice if
that's
Drake
my criticism, right? Because they had a DJ set, right, and they played the first, like, half of it was all the same songs we heard at Summer Smash. It was
same songs.
Love
Sosa,
Fantano. What was
Guess
it?
what I smoked? I was screaming.
It was the exact dude, like, for 4-1.
Exact same.
And then he's like, "Oh, let's play some OVO songs, like, to hype up, Drake."
Played some Party Next Door.
He played some Party Next Door, and then he started playing some of, like, the Drake lesser knowns, and he played Chicago Freestyle.
All the lights, that was dope.
Look, it was dope from, like, just the idea of being, like, in a room with, like, damn near 20,000 people all singing the same song. It's like a religious experience.
Literally.
But I thought it was lame that he didn't actually perform it. Like,
you're in Chicago. He's probably going to perform it tonight, to be honest.
Yeah, like,
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It was an S-tier show overall, but, like, you got to find what you got to find. So he came out, DJ did his
small
thing.
break, and then eventually Drake came walking down one of the stands.
So he had, like, an actor on stage.
He did have an actor.
Was
it
that
was his younger version of him?
It was supposed to be, like, so throughout the set, like, this kid would show up, and it's like a younger version of him, and he's, like, interacting with it. And
so I wanted to touch on that because, like you mentioned, Drake was very strategic in terms of what was going on. There actually was a concept to the tour. There actually is a repeating concept for every stop that he's going to have. I sent you the video, the promotion video that he put on Instagram. Did you by chance actually watch it?
I saw the highlight reel from Chicago. I didn't. I
okay.
Don't know. Yeah.
So he posted on Instagram. It was literally just like the caption, the voice caption of what he was saying. And essentially what was going on, the story of what was going on behind the actual tour is that before he went to do his interview or whatever you want to call it for the audition, he went to someone's house with a bunch of kids and he actually was quote unquote peer pressured into smoking weed. And he has this, like, theory that, like, he's been high in this trance the whole time. That, like, going to the Grassy and doing the audition, becoming a star, dropping all these albums, it's all a blur. And he was like, he was having this conversation about, like, after he dies, what's going to happen. And it was making him think, like, what if this is all, like, just a dream of him being high?
No, the worst plot twist in anything.
Right.
That sounds like something someone would say who's never smoked weed before.
Yeah.
Facts. So obviously that's something you do when, like, you smoke weed for the first time. Some of us have been through that.
Yeah.
So, like, that theory is supposed to be like it's all a blur. So that's why there's, like, a Degrassi version of him on the couch watching TV, going through
smoking
Family
a
Matters.
bong and wearing a Cubs jersey. He just like me for real.
He got that dog in him.
he got that Brandon in him. Like,
I regret to inform you that the dog in me has been euthanized.
But yeah, it's little stuff like that that he did add to like
Yeah.
create It's All
Yeah.
a Blur theme, where like he's watching Family Matters, he's watching Fresh Prince, he's watching
Yeah.
Degrassi as like an interlude. So
Yeah.
there was like a dummy actor version of him
Yeah.
when he was like 15.
Yeah. I also kind of like the whole blurry thing because I thought like his set list was kind of like, it was kind of sequential. Like it started with earlier stuff and then like it
flowed.
It flowed
his
into his
second song.
Was
what a flex.
Yeah, dude.
What a flex.
Marvin Room was this guy's second song, right? Like that is
It's like, bruh,
the biggest flex I've ever seen, right? Like that is.
I just remember
like,
you turned to me and you're just like, there's no way he's playing this right now. It was the second song.
Yeah.
And we're just like, Jesus Christ.
But I like how he used that, like it's a blur, like how it like bobs and weaves. Like it starts with Take Care and then it kind of jumps back to the mixtape stuff. And then it goes to kind of like Nothing Was the Same. And it kind of like goes through sequentially, right? But it kind of like, it's blurry. Like it kind of goes back and forth. And like just the stage stuff that was going on was just, it was like this.
It was everything.
Like, yeah,
I really enjoyed the Childish Gambino diss on
when he did
on
headlines,
social media.
Yeah,
that was funny.
I
Dude,
caught
like
that.
that. When you saw that live, I was like, because this is the craziest thing. Because the entire time I'm watching this this set, I'm like, this is giving me huge Childish Gambino vibes. It had a lot of the elements that he had when he was touring in 2019 before the Untitled project that had all the songs off that, like Algorithm and everything.
Do you mean the Awaken My Love tour?
No, not the Awaken My Love tour. It was he only did like a few festivals and like a few shows in.
Because I remember he did Awaken My Love and halfway through he hurt his foot and he stopped.
Yeah.
Oh,
so like when I saw him in 2019, he was at Lala, but it was like part of like a few like he did Coachella that year.
Yeah.
And he did like this thing where, and I actually think like they're a lot more similar than I take it, because I feel like we'll get to like when Honestly Nevermind, like when he gets to that part of the set. But like Honestly Nevermind kind of feels almost in retrospect like something that was meant for a live audience that was kind of like backed into an album. And like that Childish Gambino record is kind of the same thing. That 3/15/2020. It's like, yeah, that stuff was incredible live, but like it just doesn't hit the same. Like
not
as
at
an
all.
album.
Not
it
at all.
doesn't work in the album since.
And like a
streaming,
lot of
not.
the stuff, like the lighting, like the lit floor pad was like something Childish Gambino did to like an nth degree, right? Like the lasers, Childish Gambino did the exact same thing, just not to this level, right? And like so, even his entrance was very similar. Because when I saw Childish Gambino, like like the lights went down like on the stage, and you know how like whenever you go to a festival, there's always that thing in the middle of the crowd with the control panel, right? We were standing in front of it for Summer Smash; they had it there, right? He just appears on top of that, and that's his end. And like, dope. So it lets the back of the crowd start the roar, and then everyone turns around, and even that is like similar to how Drake came out.
That's true.
So
he
like,
literally came out on top of the stands and started walking down.
Yeah. So the whole time, like, I'm thinking that, and then when we get to headlines, where he has all the headlines actually on it, and the first one is like over awarded and overrated song. This is America.
Like, what?
And I'm like, is this entire thing like a revenge play against Childish Gambino?
Two things.
Tour.
I want to insert two things here. One, if I had gone to this show, I would have worn my It's Almost Dry merch, which says, you know who the villain is.
Yeah.
And two, that in exchange, when I saw it online, see the short show floor the way it was, kind of got me thinking. Like, yeah, I'm not a Drake enthusiast. I am a Childish Gambino enthusiast. But when you look at the numbers on the board, Pusha T, reference intended. Yeah. Like, is it safe to say that Gambino technically only has like one really critically good rap album?
Yeah, no, even because the internet, like, I think it's a classic. Critics don't. Like,
I think it's a good. I don't think it's I don't know if it's a classic, but like for me, it's a good album. It's a good album. And I think, like we said, we've agreed that Camp has aged really poorly. There's like a couple of good songs, but whatever. EP kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking. I'm like, damn, like from an actual production standpoint, like even I could make the argument as someone who doesn't partake that Drake has more critically and also obviously commercially like successful songs in that genre than Gambino does, and that's crazy to just like step back and think about.
No, and I would even go a step
That's
farther.
factual, if anything.
No, you're completely right, and I think you can even take it a step farther. I don't think any of Drake's albums are as poorly rated critically as Camp is.
No, well, I mean, yeah, but Camp
and
is,
even
yeah.
like because the internet got like a 3.5 on Pitchfork and like a 4 from Anthony Fantano, right?
Yeah, but I don't
Wow.
I know you
consider
don't. I know you
those
don't.
to be.
I know you don't.
You know.
I know you don't care, but like,
Sure.
some people.
I mean, at the time when it came out, and time has passed, and that changes perception or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, look, I've always think Childish Gambino has been like a more interesting artist.
Yeah, sure.
And I would maybe say like, and you were very careful with your wording because like, yeah, "Awaken My Love" might be better than anything Drake has made.
Yeah.
But that's not a hip hop album.
No, it's not. In the space at which these two kind of interface.
Yeah.
That being rap as
it certainly is. It is, and like, look, "Take Care" is certainly closer to hip hop than "Awaken My Love." I also would say
"Awaken My Love" is better than "Take Care."
I do. I don't know. That's hard.
I was gonna say, hold on, that was a heavy statement.
No.
I was about to say, hold on now. Like, let's take a moment.
I think recreating the I think like the achievement of "Awaken My Love," like recreating that funk sound so organically and that pivot, I think is kind of like more impressive than "Take Care." But yeah, no, "Take Care" is probably a top 5 all time for me.
I was about to say, "Take Care." Come on,
breaking news.
Let's be honest.
Breaking news: Childish Gambino used to make rap music. Now he makes good songs.
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
man.
Although like I do like
heavy statement.
Has Drake ever made a video as good as "This Is America"?
Okay, that's like
no. Drake videos are so damn corny, dude. It's crazy. That's another bone to pick I have, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I was gonna say, like, Drake isn't known for his videos. It's fucking Childish Gambino. He has a whole fucking TV show. How are you gonna compare the two?
Sure, but like Drake has like
made a whole TV show.
Sure, but like Drake has twice the projects. To be fair, like it's not like it's a completely unfair comparison.
Well, does that include Gambino's mixtapes? Because there are a lot of them.
It does, and like, look, I really like Royalty. I might even like Royalty.
Royalty's good.
I might even like Royalty more than Drake's mixtape.
But if you talk about Royalty, you inevitably have to talk about Sick Boy.
I'm
called
no, those all suck. Those all suck. Those all
Poindexter.
No, those all suck. Those all suck. I was talking.
Also,
what's the Drake mixtape from?
Nothing Was the Same is a mixtape.
Oh, I don't count it. I don't like. I know it is.
It's technically a mixtape.
It's like saying Acid Rap's a mixtape.
Well,
Acid Rap is a mixtape.
It's an album pretending to be a mixtape.
I mean, like,
I'm just saying, if you're gonna classify it, it's technically a mixtape.
I have a harder time with Nothing Was the Same because that was released by a label on streaming services. That's harder to quantify as a mixtape. I also am very.
Yeah, doesn't Trilogy technically count in that same space then? Because
Trilogy is a mixtape.
Yeah, but I count.
Trilogy is 100% a mixtape.
Trilogy's an album. House of Balloons is a mixtape.
Yes,
I do count.
Balloons is a mixtape. Yes, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Each one of them individually is.
Yeah, no, those are totally mixtapes, 100%. And I even am. I'm very sympathetic to Jasper's point of like Acid Rap is kind of an album, like masquerading as a mixtape.
Is at the peak level.
I think that I think that's kind of valid. I think like its distribution is like kind of where the rubber hits the road on that because like you had to go to DatPiff and download Acid Rap. It was not on streaming until very long. Whereas like Nothing Was the Same was on streaming when it came out.
This is true.
So like I don't know. I feel like Nothing Was the Same is like where I draw the line, but that's gonna be personal.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I was just being annoying.
I know you are.
I know.
But no, I think we can all say that like it's just like he's been making the most popular music for the entirety of my adult life. I feel like it's impossible to have been in that room and not
and not
like
recognize
have like a
multiple
moment
songs and
of
enjoy
like,
it.
yeah, it's like not have like a moment where it's like, holy shit, like this is like something. And this is definitely an example of like where even the live show like kind of carries some of his weaker projects, right?
It
So let's talk
That's what I
about
was going to tap
let's
into.
talk
The
into
DJ booth?
yeah, let's talk about the DJ booth thing, because like about halfway through his set, like it's a very
Right.
traditional set with like these crazy like parade float like things and like all these crazy lights that are going on. Something I did like is whenever there wasn't like effects on the stage, they would put like the big monitor view like up front, so everyone had the full experience. So
Yep.
I thought that was very cool. But after that, he takes a break and he walks to the DJ booth, and he kind of introduces his DJ, and they
Yep.
start playing what sounded like live remixes of Honestly
Right.
Nevermind. Those were not the album mixes.
So essentially, and I picked up on this. It took me a second to realize. He essentially was throwing on either a Jersey Club version remix or just like a club version remix of Work. Pretty much all of his major streamed like main album or
Yeah.
main songs. So you have One Dance, you had Work, you had Find Your Love, you had Too Good, and you had Controller. All of those were remixed essentially into like a club. And Brandon turns to me and he's like looking around and he was like, bro, I hate this, but like everyone's standing. And like it just fits. And I told him, I was like, I feel like Honestly Nevermind
And even
is going to peak after this tour.
Yeah.
Because people are gonna hear it live and be like, wow, this is night and day.
Yeah, it is night and day.
honestly
They're gonna
is.
associate it with that experience.
My only
Exactly.
I'll say, if I have like the tiniest of like
Of course.
criticisms of points, I'll say it just didn't cross the line of like me being like, man, I gotta reconsider this album, right?
That's
like,
true.
That
It wasn't enough to be like, oh, this album's fucking
to me,
amazing.
it was
But,
more like,
yeah.
oh, this is how it was meant to be heard. It's meant to be heard singing and dancing with thousands of other people, right? It didn't quite
Exactly.
go to like the Kid Cudi level where it was like, yo, was I wrong about Passion Pain and Demon Slaying? And I wasn't.
But I mean,
You
that's the
still are.
thing.
Don't worry.
but that's the thing. Like, and people joke about this when like the most recent Drake music, when he's talking about we go to the Vava, the Caicos, and Caicos to the back to the Vava. It's like people literally make memes. It's just like, okay, Drake's too rich for me.
What's
to
the
listen to
Vava?
him.
What's
I have
the
no idea what the Vava
I'm
is.
gonna Google it
I don't know
right
what
now.
this is. So like it's a meme now where it's like, okay, Drake's too famous, he's too rich, where I don't even know what he's talking about. But like in reality, some of this club music is like, okay, you need to go to the club, and let's be honest, the majority of Drake listeners who's sitting at home streaming his music don't really go to the club like that.
I mean,
We
the
don't
majority,
go to the club
yeah, the
like
majority.
that. But that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I would say probably more than any other artist.
But that's what I'm saying. People didn't have time to actually appreciate it. I'm not sitting here
this
saying
album also came out in like what, May
amazing.
2001, 2002,
Exactly.
2022. Like
Right.
we were still kind of like getting out of the pandemic, you know?
Exactly.
So like,
exactly. I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, Honestly Nevermind is amazing, but like, you do have to put context.
you have to
into
reconsider it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. To me, like it comes down to just like now it's a new line of criticism for this album, right? Like, oh, this works as a live experience, but
So,
like part
let's
of
break
the
it down.
So now part of the reason why maybe it doesn't work like as an album is because it was kind of backed into that, because it was produced at a time where it couldn't have been, you know? So maybe it's even better than the 30, 15, 20, 20, because it was like, you know, people at least were able to experience that until now.
Right.
But yeah, no, I definitely see that where it's like, yeah, this is going to be the truest possible experience with that lane of his music, where like maybe Take Care, the truest possible experience is like at home with your headphones, right? I gotta say, if there was one song where it was like, man, was I wrong about this when I was leaving?
Search and Rescue?
Search and Rescue.
Search and Rescue. I knew it, bro. Bro, because I even admitted
Yeah, because we were like,
I don't listen to this song.
Dude, we
but
were
I know
like,
the
I
lyrics,
listened to
and
this
it
song.
bangs.
I listened to this song like 5-6 times, mostly to like in AI debates. And like, Even like when it comes on, like you know every word, and it's like, and like look, there's
why do I know this?
and like look, there's definitely an argument to be made about like it being a simply written song that's like designed to be like that. That's definitely true for Search and Rescue, but this guy did that for 2 hours. That guy did it for double the standard concert length.
Yeah,
at that point it becomes a skill.
Exactly.
To be fair,
and on top of go ahead.
Paul McCartney put on a 2-hour show at the age of 76. I'm just saying, like, people do it. It's not unheard of, but it's not the norm. 100%.
Yeah.
But also, isn't Paul McCartney considered like one of the
a
greatest
legend?
ever?
Yeah, Metallica.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's like stamina and endurance. I don't think really are that much of a factor for people who do this. I would hope they're not a factor for people who do this professionally, unless you're Don Toliver.
I was also about to say we just saw something.
Oh, it is. I know. It definitely is. Like I remember.
No, I'm saying I would hope it wouldn't be. Like I would hope that if you're touring regularly, you would like have it down as an artist, like what you need to do physically. To,
I know.
Like, be
I
you
know.
practice so many times. You work out.
I know some
and
artists
your set
like
list,
have to go
when
like
you can
training.
take breaks.
Like
yeah.
100%.
So
and on top of what you were saying, Search and Rescue was the end of the DJ set.
Yeah,
and then it went into 21 Savage.
So as I remember it, the DJ set ended with Massive. And then he gets back on stage, and then he does Sticky.
Played Sticky.
And then he was like, let me do one more song, and then he did Search and Rescue. And then he got off stage, and then immediately 21 comes on stage, and 21 has its set. And listen, it was a great experience. It was maybe the middle tier 21 performance I've seen.
For me, it was probably his best.
Really? Because
I think it was better than J. Cole.
Ooh, I like the J. Cole performance more. I thought it was
fair.
a little bit more tailored to him.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I think this played his hits.
And
that's the thing.
Sure. And the other thing is that like even though this was definitely a worse performance overall, I've peaked with 21. I've seen Monster.
You've seen him enough times.
I've seen Monster perform live with the Gambino feature. I've gotten what I've wanted out of 21 Savage live, right? I would never I'm not gonna stay home, but like.
You know what you haven't gotten?
What?
Cash in, cash out.
We have not gotten cash in.
I'm disappointed. I'm looking at the set list right now. I'm disappointed that wasn't a thing.
He did all of his personal hits, honestly. The only time he branched out was
the Metro.
Well, he did Who Wants Smoke, which is
but that's much bigger than
and Rockstar. No, I think
Cash Out.
Is it?
Yes.
I gotta see.
Yeah.
Who Wants Smoke is much bigger than Cash In. I want to see as well, but
Cash In, Cash Out has 134 million plays on Spotify.
Okay, Who Wants Smoke has 196 million.
That's not that far of a gap, though.
It's not that far of a gap in context
it's also
of large albums, but that's also a 60 million difference.
He's also missing 2 of the features. Like that's an album. That's a song with 3 people on it, and he's the only one there.
It's funny that you say that because Playboy Cardio, we saw him did Off the Grid.
Yeah.
Where he did one feature, and it's mostly Kanye.
And I'm like, oh, it's my least favorite part of this song. Like,
hey.
And the other thing
is 504 versus Elite. Like,
it is good. It is very good. Yeah.
Yeah. When I was jailed, locked up.
His other major feature is Rockstar, which is the most streamed hip hop song ever. It has 2.7 billion.
No, that is the number one. That is the number one.
Yeah. So it's he made his choices.
So he came out and look, I thought he was professional and good.
He did great, but I don't think
I was gassed at the end of it. My ankle was hurting. You were there.
We sat down at one point.
Yeah, and then Knife Talk hit, and it was oh, okay. And they came out in horror movie outfits.
It was phenomenal. The screen had some weird granny with a grill.
Yeah.
It was insane.
And that last sequence where they do a little bit of Her Loss.
Mm-hmm. You have
Knife
on
Talk,
BS,
on BS, Spin About You, Jimmy Cooks, and then Rich Flex. Yeah. Honestly, I was like, what more do you do? Because honestly, I was getting tired. I was like, how do you revitalize this? And then that duo chemistry,
it worked.
Was crazy. I gotta tell you, if you liked this 6 songs they did, you're gonna fucking love Run the Jewels. That's all they do. It's just the same vibe you got from Drake and 21 Savage for 2 hours.
I will say this though, and that was the one thing not necessarily a criticism, but and it might be due to people being tired,
No.
but you can tell the newer stuff did not go as hard as his older stuff.
No, yeah.
And that's just facts.
Even the stuff like On Bullshit, which is like On BS, whatever, which is like very popular. Like,
and it bangs. Yeah. Everyone knew the song.
The
everyone was singing it. Everyone was going to it. But let's be honest.
Would you say that the cutoff is views?
The cutoff might be views.
There are certain new songs that went really hard. Nice for What, if you count that.
Sure.
Which I do.
I was gonna say
Nice for What went super hard.
Yeah. Scorpion has God's Plan, In Your Feelings, and Nice for What, and he played all of those from Scorpion. So maybe Scorpion might be the cutoff because there's so many.
Did people go hard for views songs from this?
Oh yeah, when Child's Play came on,
people went hard for every song.
Well, fair, yeah.
They went hard for every song.
I think the hardest they went for was probably Marvin's Room.
Marvin's Room was very high. Jaded was very high. Over was very high.
Yeah, started from the bottom.
Started from the bottom. Anything. That's the thing with.
But like, listen to this. Like, listen to these. Like,
non-stop Sicko Mode. When Sicko Mode came on,
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes without saying.
I was like, I looked.
You know what would be
I looked
insane for the set list?
What?
Since he pulled out all the fucking stops with everything else, why not Forever?
Yeah. I would like.
It's technically his song.
It is
technically.
We want it now and forever.
Everybody knows that's actually Eminem's song, but it's technically his.
He had one of the best verses on it.
It's really, really good.
But he did almost nothing from Nothing Was the Same. He did one song.
That doesn't surprise me.
Nothing Was the Same.
I was kind of shocked.
Yeah, I was a little. Here's the thing.
Because you have Worst Behavior. You have Hold On, We're Going Home. You have Too Much. You have Pound Cake.
Based on the videos I saw, Hold On, We're Going Home is not the vibe.
That is okay. Yeah. I'll give you that. That's fair.
I think it was an excellent curated set list. I would have loved Wu-Tang Forever. That never would have happened in a million years.
Wu-Tang Forever.
Nice. But yeah, no.
That's like one of those things.
My thing about Nothing Was the Same is that it's still very good. It's still a very good album. But to me, it feels like Take Care with like the more personal stuff feels just like a little less personal. And the more poppy stuff feels a little bit more commercial. And it's still like in a very good package. It's still an album I really, really like. But to me, like, between Take Care and If You're Reading This Is Too Late.
Give me Take Care. And he did 6 songs from Take Care. He did
6 songs. And he did a bunch from If You're Reading This, a few from If You're Reading This, If You're Too Late.
He did. He ended it with Legend.
Know Yourself. Know Yourself. Dude, we went hard for that. And I was joking. I'm like, do you think we're going to get another Utopia tease? Like,
oh, yeah. I thought we were. I mean, Sicko Mode came on, and I thought for a second, I was like,
I thought for sure.
Intentionally.
I thought for sure he was about to say, like, Utopia coming soon. Like, I thought for sure.
Yeah. Just when Sicko Mode came on, he did the intro, and then he kind of like squatted over, and then it cut directly. It completely skipped Travis's point. He did not even want to tease it.
Oh, it was like, okay. It was the exact opposite of Kid Cudi. Like,
exactly. He was like, I'm not even gonna not today.
But like,
I'm still disappointed we didn't get through the late night on the Cudi set. That's a song I need to see live.
Yeah. And
we will be seeing Travis eventually.
And you know
what's
what's insane? What I will say about this Drake set is it is kind of like very opposite of what I think he does a lot with his music nowadays, which is like he really overpromised, over-delivered, right? Like there was a lot of effort put into this.
It's 54 songs.
Like
this man went out there and
not even that, just like like taking the time to think it through, the sequencing.
Bro, the transitions. There were multiple transitions where we looked at each other like, damn.
Yeah. And like, look, there is a certain extent of like, yeah, but like this is an artist with the most resources. Right?
Exactly.
There is an element of that. But the experience at the end of the day,
that's
just
what
like,
matters.
Look, as of right now, it's the best show I've seen in 2023. And
I'm not even gonna lie.
I'm primed. I'm primed to like have that taken down a few pegs, because like I have the only artist that could outsell Drake 2-1 coming up. I have
RTJ,
Beyonce,
or Beyonce.
Yeah, okay. Beyonce. Yeah. Well, if you think there's a lot of women at Drake,
There's gonna be a lot of women at Beyonce.
I got Beyonce.
like-
I got Chance the Rapper. I got Janelle Monáe.
Oh my god,
I have
Chance.
RTJ. Like
We have Thundercat.
yeah, I have Thundercat. Like
At Salt Shed, that's gonna
Yeah.
be fucking exciting.
That's
dude,
gonna be fun.
RTJ's at Salt Shed. I'm so excited. So yeah, like as of right now, this was an S tier set of everything I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like the best concert I've ever been to. Like the Childish Gambino show, I think was probably still my favorite. The Run the
Okay.
Jewels experience was unlike anything I've ever seen.
I'm gonna say at least personally, this concert and the Kendrick concert that I saw are the best concerts I've ever
Yeah.
experienced, and that's including the Donda experience. That's including both J. Cole's we've seen. That's including Future we just saw. That's including Lil Uzi. Like Kendrick and Drake, like right here.
Yeah.
It's the best concert I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's everything that I could have asked for.
Yeah.
It's nothing but hits. I knew every song. The stage performance is amazing.
Yeah.
The actual
He really
features
just
that go into it.
he just went the extra mile with the whole thing, right? Because like
it was opening night.
here's the thing.
Like, we
Here's-
just
well, the stuff that I think he went the extra mile with is stuff that's gonna have to be like tour consistent. I meant like the light show, the sequencing,
the
all that shit,
fireworks,
the fireworks,
with stuff
the-
flying around,
the weird LED patterns that were just like bizarre,
the
and,
flames
like,
that
the
randomly
flames,
came up,
right? Like all that stuff. Like
The cum.
there was no cum.
the sperm that was swimming around.
Oh no,
in the
there
air.
was cum. There
There
definitely was cum. Like,
Soundbite
out,
for
bro.
this
Chill
soundbite
out,
for
bro.
this week's
Chill
social
out,
media
bro.
reels confirmed.
yeah,
Purvis, you seem
I
like you really
love
enjoyed
that.
this set.
I
I bet there
love
really
that.
was cum.
Chill out, bro.
there definitely was cum. Now that
There
I think
was
about
cum
it,
swimming around.
yeah, there was
literally
definitely cum.
Motherfucker
I gotta
said cum. Hell no.
Some pregnant
I-
women emojis.
Yeah,
There was literally an eggplant fucking a peach.
I can't
with
do it.
21
Dude.
I still-
Savage walking around.
dude,
I can't take Drake seriously, and this is why. I'm
That
sorry.
was 21 Savage.
that was
to be
21
fair.
Savage.
Oh well, that part, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I definitely think the coolest thing is the entire time there's the Virgil statue with the paper plane,
That was really dope.
and then
And
like,
then the plane
he
goes.
yeah, then they throw it. It's so.
It's
good.
a nice touch.
And he
It's a
ended
nice
on the
touch.
perfect thing. I think
Legend.
I think the difference between you and me is that like if Drake came out and he did the same set list, like this really good curated like
Mhm.
set list that's long, and he put his heart into it, but just that, right? I think you probably would have been like, "This is great." Maybe not as
Yeah, I
much as
would
you
have
are now,
accepted it.
but you would have been like, "This is totally good," and I'd probably been like, "I wanted a little bit more."
Mhm.
I think when I say that, this is what I mean by the little bit more. This is a lot of bit more, but like
There's a lot of it more.
this was everything. Another thing I wanted to point out is that I really liked how when he did the DJ set and he kind of went to the DJ booth and they did the remixing, how
Mhm.
he really did put the focus on the DJ.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. It
Yeah,
honestly
like
was.
he really, Drake's definitely
that
a
DJ's
diva.
going places.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Drake's definitely a diva, but like him at like being able to make someone else a star, that's like genuinely something that I did not think Drake was capable of.
Props.
I mean, and to be fair, he gave 21 Savage the full stage.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
My one thing is that like I definitely thought 21 Savage would have had a longer set in the beginning. But I'm
That
very
is fair.
I'm-
It was about 20.
no,
30
I'm
minutes.
happy. I preferred with what we got. I definitely looking back preferred what we got, but
It worked because
That's not-
there
it's
were
not what
some
I thought.
people checking out.
yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, the Drake
S tier.
concert,
we're not
S-tier
going to
concert,
It's
yeah.
S tier.
S tier.
If you have the opportunity to go see the
Yeah.
concert, go see the concert.
Yeah.
Don't question it. Don't be
Yeah.
on the edge. I understand it might cost a lot. If you can get like normal sale
Yeah.
ticket, get
If you see the
tickets.
price of a Drake ticket and you're thinking about it, you consider it.
Yeah.
If you see it and you're like, fuck that, then fuck that. That's fair.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I understand that.
But,
Not
like-
everyone can
That was
support
me. That was
or
me.
have time
Yeah.
for that, or may not even like Drake. That's okay.
My thing
I'm
is
not
that,
upset
like,
with you.
fuck, dude. If I
But if
was,
Drake
if I
comes
was-
up on your top 5 Spotify, like it does for half the people I know, go see the concert.
yeah,
You clearly listen to it.
I
Go
would
see the
have.
concert.
And Jasper, I wish we could have pitched in and just bought you the fucking ticket because
Honestly.
I would have loved your insight on it because
I think you
feel
would have liked it.
not only
And
that.
I probably would have. It's just one of those things where like the fact that I don't listen to his music regularly myself, I just don't think the value would be there for me in like
Yeah.
seeing it. Especially like, here's what I'll say. I was very skeptical when I saw these tickets go on sale, given all the prices of the closer tickets. I recall a coworker of ours paid something in the neighborhood of
That was the one, right?
$900.
Yeah.
Each ticket.
Yeah. At least he worked for it, I guess. $900 is a lot for a one night event of any kind. And I mean, sure, if it's that much of a banger, like props. But at the same time, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know. It's just like I don't think even at a cheaper seat, I don't think I would have been the audience to really like appreciate it. And the fact that I'm sure it sold out, I'm glad somebody who actually enjoyed it got the chance to go instead of me.
Yeah.
That's an excellent point. That's
Yeah.
an excellent point.
I think the thing I'm interested in is I wondered if like the
production
stage show and the
everything.
production of it.
I'm curious
It was
how many songs you would have recognized and actually enjoyed.
I would have recognized
I
all
feel
of
like
them.
over Drake,
I
you
know
would have
Drake's
enjoyed
music.
it.
Yeah.
I know Drake's music. I just don't care for it for a number of reasons and also some principles I have about music in general.
Yeah.
That's fair. And I will openly say, if you paid for a general admission seat and paid $900, I do not think it was worth it. If I paid $250 for the 300 level, I think I get every single cent.
Yeah.
Was it $250 for a 300 level? God
and
damn.
To be fair, that I paid that much because I needed to get 3 tickets in a row. If I got 2 in a row, it was like 200.
That's still a lot. I mean, that is still a lot for up there. What was Cuddy for that? Because Cuddy, you were in the same spot.
About 100.
Yeah, you were in the same spot for Cuddy. It was half the price.
Look,
I mean, it was technically half the show.
We were
too.
like,
Look, I'm gonna say this, and I know Jasper, you're not gonna like this.
No,
I'm sure.
I
think Drake
I'm,
is worth double the amount of Kid Cudi in my opinion, in terms of the performance that I see.
And like, look,
sure, in terms of like the level of performance,
Right.
the craft that goes into it, I don't blame you for that.
It all adds up.
And the other
but
thing
just
is
in the
that,
context of the venue as well, it's like I don't know.
These are
it's
not
reasonable.
these are
Yeah,
not
no, that's what I'm
the
saying.
these are not the most expensive one-day passes I bought this year. Like, and they are far from the most expensive tickets, like out right now.
Beyonce is like 300 something.
I
looked because I wanted to look. I wanted to go.
It was, so like, look, I think this is a larger systemic issue.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But like,
I agree.
it's $900 for GA. I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know.
I wouldn't.
I mean, look at
if you're a big fan, props to you.
And to be fair, like we were what, like 3 rows.
Literally.
We were like in the 3rd row of the 300 level,
and we had
which
perfect
I
view.
think is the best seat in the house. Like that's just like
it literally was.
That's just the
you
hockey
see
fan
everything,
in me.
all the lights. It's perfect.
Yeah,
like the person, and I will try not to say her name. Our coworker, she could not see the stage because she was in GA. She doesn't even know all the lights that was going on. She probably got a couple of sperms flying through the side of the. Because there's panels on the side of the stage. She probably saw that. She didn't see all the effects.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, no, it was an excellently well produced show. He really digged into like his quality material. I got no complaints. I thought it was great.
Esther.
All right. Recommendations. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Not me.
Okay, go ahead. Do you have them ready?
I said not me.
Oh, not you. Well, I never go first.
Okay,
so
I'll go first. Oh, you can go first. Yeah.
Yeah. My first one, I listened to this album on the flight back from California. I eventually went to the last album released by The Game. It is, I'm not going to lie, it is 2 hours long. It is a long album.
We just talked about this.
It is longer than Pink Tape.
Yeah.
So I was able to pick out certain songs. Luckily enough, the song Voodoo is one of the first like 4 or 5 songs. It is a very dark tone, but an excellent listen. And he touches very like sensitive topics. And what pointed out to me right away was the idea of like taking care of his baby and having to feed it because the mother can't breastfeed because she has breast cancer. And I was like, oh, this is a serious song.
That's incredible.
And I was like, I love this.
Yeah.
So that was a tone setter for the rest of the album and allowed me to go through 2 hours because it was a concept album. Highly recommend the song Voodoo by The Game.
All right. Mine is, I am like very shocked at the amount of just like little tidbits of wisdom we got during Summer Smash.
Okay.
Because if you remember during Asir? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Asar.
Cool.
Asar.
Asar. Yeah.
Okay.
He said something, and you know what? It's just true, and that is that people don't juke anymore. So
Bro, people don't juke anymore.
I'm
said
recommending. This song came up the other day while I was driving, and I fucking hate driving, and this song made me kind of not hate driving for 3 minutes.
Enjoy the drive.
Juke Juke by Chance the Rapper.
Man.
God.
Yeah, dude. Oh,
I love it.
yeah.
I'm
I'm recommending. I have a theme this week. Everything I'm recommending are like top tier summer songs.
I love it.
And I have probably the classic of classic summer songs.
Man, I
coming
haven't
up.
heard Juke Juke in a long time.
Dude, it hits.
All right, Jasper, what do you got for us? Oh, I loved it. Sorry.
You're welcome.
I saw it and I'm like,
This is the one
ahead.
this is the one of his that stays in rotation. It's PG Baby by Red Veil.
Oh, okay.
I love
that
this
song.
artist.
Yeah.
The
Red Veil
upcoming
is
artist.
super
We have the same
talented.
birthday. We have the same
Yeah.
birthday.
I gotta
Super
dive into
talented.
Red Veil. I've heard PG Baby. I've heard the remix with Denzel Curry.
Whole album slaps.
I really like it. I gotta dive in.
He is 18.
Yeah, I gotta dive
He
into
is
Red
so
Veil.
good.
Gotta dive into Red Veil. He deserves it. Yeah, no.
Sorry, Jasper, I ruined that for you. I get really excited. I
No
love
arguments
that.
here.
Artist in song.
He earns it. Yeah.
That's what I like to hear. Good
yeah.
recommendations.
Yeah.
My second song is going to be by an artist named Emok. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I don't know how to say the name, but it's ACHE. It is actually like a famous TikTok song.
Yeah.
The ending of the song, you will recognize the sound immediately. But if you I went back to listen to the whole song. It's a full song. It's like a 5-minute song or something like that. It doesn't get to the ending part, which is TikTok famous, till the end. The song's amazing.
I'll have to listen
So I
to
highly recommend it.
Okay.
Highly recommend it.
All right. I'm gonna recommend a throwback classic.
Oh boy.
One of the greatest choruses of all time. Summertime Anthem, and probably one of the best one-hit wonders of all time.
We're hyping this up.
Sugar Sugar by Baby Bash. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I respect that.
That chorus, like, iconic, dude. Absolutely.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, this song, same drive came on.
This is the same drive?
Same drive.
Where were you driving to your house?
Yeah, I was going to Melrose Park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this song is nice.
Yeah, dude,
it's smooth.
It's smooth.
I'm
And the
listening
other
to
thing
it
is
right
that,
now.
like,
It's
the other
smooth.
thing is that, like, and this is something I'm trying to do. Like, listen. Latinos helped create hip hop, right? Like, I get it. It's a black dominated art form.
Listen.
I get it. But like, Latinos have been here since the beginning. We gotta give some love, and maybe not to Baby Bash, but this is gonna be something I'm working on.
This is like the
next-
conversation we had yesterday when I was just like, man, I love black spaghetti. And you're just like, look. The Italians laid out the work.
Yeah,
for
like,
that.
it's good. It's
essentially
good.
baked mazzaroli, but different noodles.
It's baked mazzaroli with different noodles. Like, look, it's good. You can prefer it. That's fine. You just got to recognize, you know.
The Italians laid it out for us.
The
You would
ancient
not be-
Chinese have
yeah.
entered the chat.
Yeah. Well, when they win a war, no, I'm kidding. Like,
Look, we're not going to talk about Italy forfeiting every single war.
Yeah. Italy doesn't forfeit wars. They resort to fascism. Anyway, Jasper,
they just
recommend your song.
they just melt down into social unrest.
Yeah, to despots. Anyway, like,
All right. Enough.
we
right.
invented fascism. Actually, like, a lot of people give it to Hitler, but it was us.
Do you really want to take the claim for that?
I feel like the material reality of the world is more important than what I want.
Another perfect
your bills.
soundbite for social media this week.
You have to
All right,
include
I
the
will be
second one too.
I will be posting this Monday.
Dopey.
My next pick is my favorite song by this artist, JPEG Mafia, 1539 North Calvert.
I love that.
Smooth, tight. Everything about this is what I hoped Scaring the Hose was going to be, and then it wasn't. So
Brandon made me listen to Scaring the Hose.
I put it
there is-
on, and you fucking bobbed your head harder than any other pregame song in the car.
Bullshit.
to be fair, it's context dependent. Pre-gaming is the perfect time for scaring the hose because you're going to
That
get
is a good
sloppy
time.
drunk or high or whatever, and you're going to go out and you're going to scare the hose.
This
I'm
is
like-
true.
If you are listening to it like I did on my morning commute to my desk job at a
I don't know why you
bank
did
at
that. Yeah.
7:30, because I thought it was going to be smooth like other JPEG, and it wasn't.
You made a choice.
Yeah. It's called scaring the hose. Like,
I had already invested.
You're supposed
I
to.
was already
You are
in.
going on here.
You are supposed to listen to that album at 2 a.m. strung out on amphetamines with Adult Swim on mute in the background. Like that
In the
is.
podcast.
those
In the
very
podcast.
wet wet
it.
claps
I
came
love
on,
those. I love those.
and
wet
I was like, well, I've already committed this far.
I'm gonna re-listen to that album. Still debatably my album of the year. Like,
We will see.
we will see. Honestly, Michael might take it, but like,
Yeah, Michael. I'll
Dude,
put it Michael.
1539 North Calvert though, hit him with the whoa.
yeah,
If you know, you know.
if you know, you know.
In the podcast. I'm back.
Okay.